I call this meeting to order. This is a Livingston Parish Council meeting. Today is August the 13th, 2020, and it is 6 p.m. Well, maybe a few minutes after 6 p.m. Okay? And so now we'll stand and have the invocation. And one of my closest friends on the council had the invocation tonight, but he's not here, Mr. John Wascom. So I'm going to ask Mr. Chris Moody to say the prayer.
Thank you, be my honor. Please join me. Lord, thank you for being a loving God. We thank you for your presence here tonight. Father, we thank you for those gentlemen that are making the decisions, and the parish president and our clerks. Guide them and strengthen them and give them wisdom. Father, we also pray tonight for those families and children and teachers who are sending their kids back to school this week. I know they're stressed, they're worried. We ask that you protect them, and we ask that you give them peace. Lord, we thank you for being here at all times, and we ask that all things we do tonight be in furtherance of what you wish for us to do. And for all these things we pray in Jesus' name.
Amen. Amen. Mr. Bubba Harris, would you lead us in the pledge? Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Roll call.
Mr. Harris.
Here.
Mr. McMorris.
Here.
Mr. Gillette. Mr. King.
Here.
Mr. Gillingham.
Here.
Mr. Ard.
Here.
Mr. Mack.
Here.
Mr. Wascom. Mr. Heller.
Here. All right, we're going to ask everybody at this time to silence their cell phones so that we don't have any interruptions during the meeting. All right. Public input. Anyone wishing to address any of the agenda items is certainly welcome to do so. When that particular agenda item comes up, what you're going to need to do is raise your hand, and when it's time, we'll call upon you, and then you can come to the podium and state your name and address, and talk. And what we want to try to do, for time's sake, is try to get people to, make their statement in a 2 to 3 minute time frame if possible, So appreciate that help there. Under presentations, we have an audit presentation by Laporte.
Yeah, thank you. We did the audit for the year ended December 31st, 2019. I'll go through some highlights of that. If you have any questions, just please let me know. The first thing I want to draw your attention to is page 2, which is our audit opinion. And there, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects. So it gave a clean, unmodified opinion on y'all's financial statements for the year. The next thing I want to draw your attention to is on page 13. These are the government-wide financial statements, which is kind of a summary of all your operations for the year. And the first statement is a statement of net position. And it's got 2 columns, governmental activities and business type activities. Governmental activities is all your funds except for the utility fund. And the business type activities is your utility fund. So at December 31st, 2019, you had total assets of $155,100,000. And you can see the biggest part of that is in your capital assets of about $104 million. You also had about $18 million in receivables and about $10.7 million in cash. You had some deferred outflows related to your pensions and also related to past refundings of debt. And you had total liabilities of $65.3 million. And the biggest part of that is your bonds payable and your net pension liabilities. That gave you a net position at the end of the year of $95.4 million. And the biggest part of that is in your capital assets, but then you have unrestricted of 19.8, and then you have various restrictions for the dedicated uses for those. For the business type activities, you had total assets of $5.6 million, liabilities of $2.1 million, and a net position at the end of the year of $3.5 million. The next statement is the income statement for the government-wide financial statements, and that's on page 4. I'm sorry, 14. And that starts with the expenses. The first thing is the governmental activities, which is broken down into all y'all different functional categories. That totaled $58.4 million. Then you had charges for services of $5.4 million, operating grants of $17.8 million, and then capital grants of $233,000. That gave you a net expense of $35 million. And then you add in your general revenues, which are all your taxes and your royalties. It's totaled $31 million for the year. That gave you a negative change in net position of about $4.1 million. For the business type activities, you had $894,000 in expenses, $200,000 in charges for services, and then you had a net change in position, a net deficit or loss of $691,000 for the year. The next thing I want to draw your attention to is on page 93. As part of the audit, we do certain tests of y'all's compliance with state laws and also y'all's internal control over financial reporting. And that's what this first report is about. And if you turn to page 94, at the top paragraph there, we basically said that given these limitations during our audit, we did not identify any deficiencies in internal control that we consider to be material weaknesses. So we didn't see any control issues that we needed to report to you. The next paragraph is the compliance section, and we did have a compliance finding. So we said the results of our test disclosed an instance of noncompliance or other matters as required to report it. We'll go over that shortly. The next report relates to y'all's compliance with the requirements of federal awards, federal grants, and that's on page 95. And our opinion on that is on 96. In our opinion, the council complied in all material respects with the types of compliance requirements. So we tested y'all's major programs. We tested 2 programs this year, and basically we did not identify any findings or any internal control issues for those as well. Page 101 is the findings section, and this relates to the local Louisiana local government budget law, and relates to their requirement of bending your budget if your actual revenues are falling short of the budgeted amounts, or your actual expenditures is exceeding budgeted amounts. Now this year, all of your funds, you were within the expenditure threshold, so everything was compliant there. The only thing that was not was the general fund, which had actual revenues that did fall short of the budgeted revenues. And that was primarily related to grants, both state and federal grants for the year. The next page is our schedule of prior audit findings. We had one control issue related to permits and licenses, and that finding has been resolved. And then we had the finding regarding to amended budget, which is continued, has not been resolved. You have any questions?
On statement A, on page 13, you said our cash or cash equivalents for governmental activities were $10.7 million. That's our cash position.
That's correct.
Yet the jail fund is approaching an $11 million deficit. Where's that accounted for?
Okay, so if you want to turn to page 16. 16 shows the jail fund, and basically what's that being accounted for. If you look in the general fund, you have advance to jail sales tax, and you have dues and other funds, and you also have some funds in health unit. So basically, other funds have loaned money to the jail sales tax.
I understand that. So, but it's not reflective in the cash equivalents, meaning that we really have $10.7 million? Or is that $10.7 million is that an equivalent number that's offset by the losses in the jail fund?
No, you actually have the 10.7 million, and that's just, your regular cash. You also have restricted cash as well. And so y'all pool y'all's funds, and so if you'll see on that second line item, is pool cash and other funds.
What page is that?
This is on page 16 and 17.
Pool cash on the fund.
So y'all had total pool cash and other funds of $18,855,000. And of that, if you look at down in the liability section, the deficit in pool cash. Of that, 9.6 million is, basically loaned, is other funds have deficits. And you can see the, jail fund has, a pretty sizable deficit.
10.6 million,
It's, yeah, basically,
or
yes.
11.5 total liabilities.
Right, that's correct.
So it's got 11.5 total liability with a $10.6 million unassigned fund deficit?
Yes, so under, the governmental accounting, if it's restricted, you show it, it has to be a positive balance, but if it's a deficit, it has to be shown as unassigned.
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily, not sure that it
So-
probably should have its own category, but, you know, that's kind of what we're following.
So with pooling the money in one deal, pooling all the funds, then ultimately, the jail fund's been underwritten by other things. The road fund, the general fund, the health unit fund.
Definitely, yes,
All those different funds have underwritten the jail fund.
that's correct.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that, you know, everybody had a clear understanding that the jail was eating at our money
Yes,
on
and
a
you-
daily basis.
And if you turn to page 17, you can see, or actually page 19, you can see the loss for the year. And you can see the net change, in fund balance there. The jail lost almost $1 million this year. And that's been pretty consistent.
Right.
Which, you know, what you have is, if you look at the transfers out there, that's your debt service on the jail bonds. And so that is really, you know, really what's causing that, you know, which those bonds will be paid off in, not 2020 to 2021.
Yeah, but the sales tax is gonna expire right about the time the bonds are paid off, so
Right.
that
so-
revenue's not gonna be there
Right, unless it, yeah.
unless it's renewed.
Unless it's renewed, that's correct.
Any more questions? All right.
I think
Appreciate you coming and explaining it.
Thank you, appreciate it.
You have to accept this thing.
All right, agenda item number 8. This is adoption of the minutes from the July 23rd, 2020 regular meeting of the Livingston Parish Council.
Motion.
Motion by Tracy Girlinghouse, second by Jeff Ard. Any discussion from the audience or the council? All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Agenda item number 9. This is the parish president's report. 9A, is Mr. Sam here to talk about this?
Yes, well, we just went over 45 days, no money exchanged, it just took a little longer than what we thought. We wanted to use up all the money, didn't want to get it back, to do some more overlay work. And it, like I say, it just extended 45 days from the original contract. And I just wanted you guys to know it so we could, you know, get it approved with the change.
Sam, this is just patch jobs, right?
That's that patch and overlay job we did.
Any more questions from the council? Anybody from the audience have anything to say about this? Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Motion by Scooter King,
I'll second.
second by Tracy Girlinghouse.
And what's the motion for?
To accept the change order.
Accept the change order
And authorize.
and authorize the parish president to sign the change order.
Thank you.
Yep.
It's just to extend it, Miss Sandy, from 180 to.
Don't
I just
change
wanna
the
make sure
dollar
they put that in there.
225.
Yeah.
He was good to sign it.
Yep.
I know they will.
Yep.
From
Okay.
180 to 225. I believe the total contract was 180 days, and it took us about 225 days.
That ain't a lot, a lot.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody that opposes? Nope.
Thank you.
Appreciate you very much on that. Okay, agenda item number 10, this is, an update on the master gravity drainage plan grant application. I requested this be put on the agenda. I just, you know, we had, formed a master planning review committee. And in that committee, we had kind of talked about, getting a master gravity drainage plan for all of Livingston Parish, you know. And, we even actually had, set aside in the current 2020 budget to, fund the, matching funds on this grant. And so I wanted to put this on here, to get an update because, you know, you got the watersheds project and everybody's submitting projects for the watershed project, and thought it'd be good if we had a list of, projects, you know, to submit, you know, to improve drainage in Livingston Parish. And, found out today that we have not, as a parish, completed the application. Okay? And so what I was thinking would be a good idea was, if the council thought it was a good idea, you know, majority of the council thought it was a good idea, was to pass a resolution, you know, requesting or asking the current administration to do as much research as possible to see if there's any grants out there, you know, to maybe fund such a master gravity drainage plan for Livingston Parish. You know, I think it's a good idea, you know, because with those studies, you know, come, you know, research and data that shows whether or not it's, you know, good, bad, or ugly projects, you know, and, I just think that if we have that, then we could start to work toward implementing
I
those
agree.
projects and
I'll make
plans.
that motion.
Okay, we got a motion by, Tracy Girlinghouse, second by Jeff Ard. Is there anybody here from the audience that would like to discuss this any more further? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right,
Thank you, Shane.
appreciate
That's
you.
important.
It is. Appreciate y'all very much. And then, you know, a lot's happened in 2020, and
Yeah.
the next agenda item is, agenda item number 11, and that is the discussion of broadband extension or expansion in Livingston Parish. And I also requested to put this on the agenda, and we can talk about why. I mean, I think we all know why. I mean, you know, with the COVID pandemic and everybody trying to work from home, and, you know, the, school system and the people that go to school, whether it be, you know, K through 12 or even college students, you know, they're trying to get internet access to, you know, to do the things in life that they need to do, you know, and, so, I've had some people contact me, you know, and, they wanted me to try to help them get the service. And I've been trying to email one of the service providers in Livingston Parish to try to get them the service they need. And, you know, it's just a lot to it, okay? And, there's a lot of cost associated with it. From what I understand, the service providers, it's a private business, and, they're willing to help and work together, but, you know, I think it's gonna need to be a group effort. So, I put this on the agenda in hopes to pass another resolution that, the current administration, you know, requesting or asking the current administration, you know, maybe appoint a couple of members that, you know, that work for them, that could work with the state representatives, you know, in maybe Congress, and, you know, US representatives and stuff, you know, and us, and maybe apply for some type of grants, you know, that would help out with the initial cost of running the service if possible, you know, so that, you know, just work with the current providers in the reps and stuff to try to come up with some kind of way, in any way, shape, or form, to start providing this service. Because, I mean, I've listened to the current Public Service Commissioner talk, and he's all about expanding broadband service. I've listened to people that are currently running for the, Public Service Commission, you know, but I mean, what you really don't see is an actual plan to put it in place. I mean, you know, everybody just wants to do it, but no, how? You know, so I thought that group maybe there could do that. If anybody else has any suggestions or maybe thinks that we should maybe try something different, I don't know. I just, I'm emailing, I'm trying to work with the current service provider, but it's, I just kind of feel like I'm really not getting anywhere, you know, and thought maybe that this would be the beginning of us developing better service for the people of Livingston Parish. So I'm gonna quit talking. If anybody from the council wants to say a few words,
I would like to say something, but just as a point of clarity on this.
mhm.
And I didn't think that this was an issue, but then someone pointed out to me, we were talking, because we've been talking about this issue. To be clear, we're not talking about providing like broadband to someone for nothing. We're just talking about making it available for them to purchase.
Correct.
And there's a lot of areas that can't get a broadband signal. So that's what we're talking about. Like, you know, we're trying to get some type of broadband signal out there available for them to purchase. This isn't necessarily a gimme.
Right.
Yeah, we're not trying to give anything away. We're just trying to provide a service out to an area so someone would have the ability to purchase said service, broadband.
Thanks
So,
for
I mean, and
clarification.
I just wanted to clear that up because evidently there were, some people are confused on that issue. We're not trying to get a grant so we can give free broadband to people.
No.
This is basically, we're just trying to get the lines ran out there to where you can have the ability to purchase it from the provider.
Thank you very, very, very much for clarifying that, Tracy. Is there anybody else that would like to say a few things about that?
I know it's important.
Anybody from the audience? All right. So is there a motion on the floor to pass that resolution to
What's the,
request the current administration to maybe, work with, elected officials and maybe, some folks within his organization to maybe come up with a game plan and work with the public service commissioners to come up with a game plan to expand broadband service in Livingston Parish. You know, got a motion by Gary Talbert, got a second by Tracy Girlinghouse. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? All right. Appreciate that.
This is the bid tabulation, very small,
What? Can somebody come hold this out for me?
thank you.
Cool.
Well, I'll pass them down, so.
That's
It's all right.
Come back this way with one.
I don't have one, Shane doesn't have one.
Yeah.
You and I still don't have one. You got another?
That's what we need to be screwing.
This on the sidewalk.
The sidewalks and whole, I can't even give them his dinner.
Okay. So agenda item number 12A is to adopt a resolution authorizing the parish president to execute the contract between the Livingston Parish Council and Road Works LLC, the low bidder for the state of Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development Holden Sidewalk Program at LA Highway 441. Okay? And, guys, I just wanted to say a few things about this. This is in my district, and this was a grant that was applied for many, many, many years ago. And I've been trying to contact the people within the community, you know, to let them know, you know, this was coming, and just kind of wanted to, so that, you know, they could come up here and state their case on this. And I'm asking for a 2-week deferral to give me a little bit more time to do a little bit more research and communicate with the community
They went out one sidewalk?
to do this. So, yeah. What I'm asking for, you know, but, you know,
No, it's in your district.
majority rules.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's fine, with me.
What's the implication if we don't approve of this tonight?
That's a great question. Is Chad or somebody here that can answer that? Sam or Chad?
Yeah.
I think they do have a set amount of time after the bid's been taken and you guys can accept it. I'm not sure what that is, 2 weeks is okay or not, I really don't have that. I think it's like it's a 45-day, it's like a 45-day period typically, or 30-day period after the bid's been taken.
You know what day the bid was submitted?
I don't think I have it with me. I bought a few things with me. I don't know if I have the date on the bid. I can look it up right
This
quick.
is June 10th.
Is it June? Yeah, that might be right.
So
by
we're
the time-
running out of time.
Yeah, I mean, you wanna be careful with that, and I think,
It's been 60 days already.
it's a 95.5 grant, this thing, I've been working on this project since 2001, I think. Yeah. But anyway, I don't even think the council members around anymore, to be honest with you, but, anyway, I hate to see it not go, but I mean, if you got an issue or two with people on the route.
Well, it's a couple things, guys. I'll just go ahead and be as clear as possible. I wanna go back and double check, what has it been, about 19 years? And maybe Chad and some people can clarify this, but the way they're going into the school and coming out of the school and where the sidewalk was gonna cross 441, and I just kinda wanted to clarify a few things, with the school board and the principals and stuff like that, so,
Yeah.
I just,
It's got some existing sidewalks, and some of those gonna be approved to the current ADA, and it's tying the post office still around? Anyway, post office, school, and then it goes up basically from US 190 up to the, intersection that, I think it's Wade Courtney, up on the top end, where 441 kind of forks off.
I'm not against it, I just wanted to clarify a few more things,
So basically-
Wait 2 weeks.
Defer it 2 weeks cause you lose it.
Well, we don't know the answer.
Well, we know there's a time frame, and we know there's a June 6th date on this thing. We gotta be running out. I'm just asking.
Yeah, it's up to you guys.
How long you been working on it, Chad?
This is a sidewalk project for,
It's-
basically to connect the city with the
It's
school.
gonna run, I don't know if you.
It's like the one in Walker?
But it's
190
gonna run,
to Wade.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
it's gonna run on the west side of, 441, right there at the post office. It's gonna cross over, there's a road that the school's using, the exit, and then, once it crosses over, it's gonna run on the east side all the way down to the split where 441
Where
and
the
442
storage?
split, where
Yeah,
the
when the
storage
story
is.
was correct.
Yeah.
So we had ours done probably, 5 years ago?
It's not.
5 years ago, yeah. it did.
Yeah, it's the
Very
same
nice.
program, that's right,
Same.
Chris, the same
Yeah, I
program.
mean, if you want a motion to adopt a resolution to, I'd offer that motion, if that's the direction you want
To
to go.
defer it, I
What?
don't think we need a motion or anything
No,
like
you
that. I
just
think we
defer it.
Defer it?
Defer it.
I hate you to lose that after 19 years.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
We've toyed around with this thing for so long. We had, the subdivision south of 190, we actually had sidewalks in there, and those people did kind of voice their opinion, they didn't really want it. So we had it crossing 190 at one time when the businesses along 190 were interested in it. The train track, the railroad track is such a hard thing to cross, and you gotta have purpose and all that. So anyway, it's all kept above 190 going north. So anyway, that's up to you guys, whatever y'all wanna do.
Wanna wait 2 weeks?
All right, we're gonna wait 2 weeks.
I would offer
You
that
lose
motion
it?
to defer.
No,
2
you don't
weeks.
have to.
Appreciate that.
Where's
Defer
the-
that 2 weeks. Wait, there's a motion to defer. Do we need to vote on this? I don't think we need to vote on this, right?
We just wait, right?
We're just gonna defer it.
Okay.
Okay. Agenda item number 13, Planning Department, A. This is a waiver request of section 125-13, F1, procedures for subdivisions with improvements for proposed revision to Fox Club subdivision for the sewer substantial completion located in Council District 7.
That's me.
We're gonna turn the floor over to, Sam or Tracy?
Ms. Sam is
What I'd
speaking
like to do
first.
is defer to Mr. Derrick. I believe Mr. Derrick's prepared to talk about it and explain the situation to you guys.
Okay.
So, come on up here. Do your thing. Thank you, Ms. Sam. This mask get hot quick. My name is Derrick Murphy, Quality Engineering and Surveying, representing the developer for Fox Grove subdivision. I don't know how many months, but it's been quite a while I was at this podium talking about the progressive stance of the sewer district in Livingston Parish and touting it for the success that it's been having, and how it's been able to expand and do different things and work with different people, developers, property owners, citizens in Livingston Parish in order to try to consolidate sewer and keep our sewer out of our ditches as much as possible, keep the plants down and expand its limits. This was one of the projects that I was speaking of when I was before y'all talking about it. This was Fox Glove, which was a subdivision that was approved by the Planning Commission and this council for 303 lots. And during that time, we are outside the limits of the sewer district capabilities to service this project. We had two options. The option one, of course, was to put a treatment plant in place, permanent treatment plant, and allow just standard treatment just like we would for any other subdivision. We started working with the sewer district. Sewer district brought to us, would we be willing to utilize a mobile plant, because they knew they were going to be expanding at some time in the near future in this direction and bringing a force main to us. So we went with that, trying to make sure that we help out the parish, the district, and continue in that direction, as I think it's better, because it also gives the sewer district and the parish an asset that they can move once the sewer gets to this facility, move down to another project or another area to keep expanding that sewer further and further. So we started in that direction. During this time, we worked on the discharge limits through DEQ was very extensive and stringent, and this permitting process took way longer than what we thought it was going to take. And we received our DEQ permit on July 30th of this year. And at the time we were building, and some of the delay and everything, of course, was what we're going through and the pandemic and so forth. But nonetheless, we get to the point where we have lots that are ready to be developed. They are completed, infrastructure is in place, and the treatment plant, we're waiting on getting that permit before we move forward with the treatment plant. On July 30th, we received our permit, and on July 31st, our client wrote a check for almost $200,000 to put basically half of it down for deposit on that plant. We've also been working with the sewer district, sewer board, the engineers, and we've also put up a surety maintenance bond in excess of $650,000, that if something happens for some reason, the parish has the ability to finish paying or doing anything for the treatment for those lots. We've also found out that one of the, of course, going through all this, also found out the plant went from 10 to 12 weeks to almost maybe 16 weeks to get built. So it's a matter of timing. It's a matter of having the lots on the ground, wanting to build houses and move forward as the infrastructure is already there, investment is made, and so forth. We feel that good faith going forward, trying to be part of the solution in the area. We're asking tonight for the waiver so we can get our final plat signed, get building permits started, and get moving forward on this project. We're here tonight to answer any questions you might have, and yeah, this is the progressive thinking that I think allows us to keep moving those limits of getting more and more community sewer and expanding those limits.
Chris,
Yes.
I got a question. So basically, the sewer district agreed to the surety bond, they felt protected. Once the deposit was made, the plant was under construction. And their restriction was they would agree that, the sewer's moving in the right direction, and as long as no COs were issued.
Right.
There is some concern that a lot could be sold or a house could be sold without a CO. I talked to a closing attorney today, you know, there is a possibility of a cash sale and definitely on a lot, you know. So, is there a possibility to do a cooperative agreement between the parish and the developer that basically says, we'll sign, you know, we'll sign the plat. You can you can start building houses, whatever. You cannot sell a lot or sell a house until the sewer is complete.
You tell the temporary sewer or the full plan?
No, once the plan, I mean, the plan is to put this temporary plant in place.
Right,
It will collect the sewer until the force main is laid.
Right.
At that point in time, they'll tie into the force main. The sewer district will then be able to move the temporary plant to another subdivision. The issue we have is if a plat is signed, then lots or houses can be sold.
right,
There is no place for the sewer to go right now
right.
because it's being constructed.
The
Part
temporary
of-
plan is being.
The temporary plant's being constructed. Part of it exists because the permit was delayed, really because of COVID. Secondly, is because the developer is a publicly traded company, their policy was not to issue the deposit for construction until the permit was approved. You know, a private company can get away with some stuff that a public company can't do, so consequently, they were not able, they would have loved to have started the plant 4 or 5 months ago, but the permit wasn't issued 4 or 5 months ago, so they couldn't make their deposit.
Right,
So the day after the permit was issued, they made their deposit to start the construction process. The problem is, if they delay construction another 16 weeks, 4 months, you know, then their bottom line is negatively impacted because they've got this asset sitting there that they can't move forward with. So if we allowed for the plat to be signed,
right.
with a restriction, you can start building your houses, but until you have an operational temporary sewer treatment plant, you can't sell a lot
Okay, I
or
see.
sell a house. Which, my concern is that we were looking for protection for the people of the parish.
Right.
What we didn't wanna do is somebody buy a house in Foxglove, start paying a mortgage, but have no place for their sewer to go.
Right,
So the CO was the protection that the sewer district thought would protect it. But however, you and I both don't want a cash sale, and depending on the policies of the mortgage company, they might not need a CO
They
for a
may not.
closing, they might not need a CO to fund the loan. So you could end up with a lot or a house sold and not need a CO. So I think we need a cooperative agreement between the developer and the parish that would
Yeah.
restrict the sale of lots and the sale of
it would be
houses.
called a development agreement.
Right.
So that's not uncommon. So
So-
we can do that with condition upon your approval of the plat, approval of the plan.
So-
Condition that no house be sold to the consumer until the plan, at least the temporary plan is in place.
So I would like to make a motion that we allow for the signature of the plat after the agreement between the parish and the developer agreed that no lots or homes will be sold until the temporary plan is operational.
And want to look at the bond too. The bond is issued to the sewer district or to the parish?
There was a surety bond and a maintenance bond, both were, the surety bond was for the sewer, district, and the maintenance bond was for the parish.
Right.
Both of those have been approved and recorded.
Right. Well, that maintenance bond may not cover us for the construction of the sewer plant. It would cover us for maintenance of one that's already there that we can set.
But the surety bond covers
The
the
surety
sewer
bond will,
district.
but that will protect the sewer district, yeah, not so much us.
Well, but the sewer, I mean, as long as the sewer district knows
They're
that they've
happy
got the
about
fund
it.
to finish the plan, that's where they're at.
Right.
We have a surety agreement with the sewer district as well that goes along with the bond that talks about all of that as well. So the
Sounds
parish,
fine.
the public entities are covered.
Yeah, sounds fun.
So, the only thing I ask is that we can work that out with don't have to come back before the
Oh,
council.
no, I mean, the motion is that when you feel comfortable that, you know, the motion is that when the agreement between the developer and the parish exists, that lots and houses won't be sold until the temporary plan is placed, then the planning department can sign the plat, but not until it.
Right. We'll just authorize the parish president or his designee to execute the settlement, the development agreement.
My question is though, how do how do you get to a point like this? I mean, shouldn't you at least be started on your sewer treatment plant before you ever get to the point where you're building a house?
We're-
And we're still talking about shuttling waste, are we not?
We're not talking about shuttling waste. What we're talking about is there will be no waste to shuttle. Under this agreement that we're talking about right now, is that after the agreement is reached between the parish and the developer, then the final plat can be signed. Houses can then start, then permits can be issued and houses can start construction. However, until the temporary plant is operational, no lots and/or houses can be sold. All it does is under the way our ordinances are written, technically, until the plan is in place, you can't get a permit. So you're 4 months before you start construction of your first house. In theory, based on the thing, what we're allowing them to do is start construction now, so that when the plant becomes in place and operational, they will have a product to sell. We're not allowing them to sell a single product until the plant is operational. We're just allowing permits to be issued for the construction of homes.
Yeah, change it,
Look,
Make it whole
under
lot.
normal circumstances, I don't think we'd have been this long I don't think they would have been this long getting the permit. And so, when the plat was originally approved, and all the stuff was done and construction was, allowed to go forward, in a normal situation, you would have received your permit, had your plant built, everything would have been finished about the same time. Given this situation, the permit was delayed, and being they're a publicly traded company, they couldn't start the plant until the permit was approved.
I mean, I understand that, and I can appreciate that, but my point would be, they're a publicly traded company. How is that the parish's fault?
It's not the parish's fault. It's not the parish's fault. But look, they're gonna continue to develop in the parish. Other companies are gonna continue to develop in the parish. This public-private partnership that the sewer district has been moving forward on these subdivisions is allowing for the growth of, parish-wide sewer. I would hate for us to slow that down or stop that, because if, in all honesty, if they would have gone with a package type unit, it would have been a lot easier to get approved. And they could have chosen to put a package unit in place, got the discharge permit, and moved forward way sooner than this temporary situation.
Okay.
Tracy, Councilmember, to answer your question, there's a lot of factors involved, all the way back. I can tell you, we've been working on the permit for well over a year, trying to get, because of the limits with the mobile plants, also having to deal with the DEQ, going through, discharge through wetlands, through ponds, through a lot of biochains on the backside of this mobile plant, things like that we had to put in place for DEQ to accept this discharge. So it hadn't been delayed, it just took us, and then plus getting feedback and answers back during the last several months, it's just been a elongated timeframe, so.
Okay.
I think the concern is what, as a parish council, what we don't wanna do is have a constituent buy a house, call you and say, I can't move in my house till I have no place for my sewer to go. You know what I'm saying? So in essence,
I can promise you I don't want that.
okay, so in essence, what we've done is we've allowed them to move forward with construction, so that when the sewer plant is operational, they will have a product on the ground to sell.
To what degree though? Wide open? How many houses do you approve for right now?
43.
43 houses in the first five?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what's finished and ready to build. So the most you're gonna, and I don't think they can build 43 houses in 4 months.
Yeah, but we also don't know how long it's gonna take to get that,
Well,
yeah.
Package plan is, like I said, about 2 weeks. 2 weeks we've already done the deposit. We've been talking to Hoop Systems, which is who's manufacturing almost on a daily basis, pushing them, letting them know how fast we need it, and we're trying to expedite.
And I'm not trying to be difficult here, Derek, but you know, those are, I'm assuming there's more than 10 or 12 moving parts inside that plant, right? You know, they get those from other places. Those have to come in. That it's going to be slowed down, and I'm just saying that it could be 6 months.
Okay,
But it's irrelevant.
but it does,
They
but
can't sell a house.
they still can't sell a house.
Okay.
So-
I mean, what we said, what we're doing with this motion tonight
There's no pump and dump. or
is,
nothing.
it's in the pump and dump. This is about letting them get started building. And when that plant becomes operational, they can sell a house.
They can have all
That
43 of them
protects,
gone.
that
They won't
protects
buy.
every citizen in Livingston Parish.
And understand that plant also has to be inspected and approved by the sewer district at that time and so forth.
So Gary, I got one question, Shane, if you don't mind.
Well, yes, sir,
So-
go ahead.
So, what we're trying to do here by the Livingston Parish Sewer District expanding, bringing that force main in, is that they're gonna pick up this subdivision, pick up customers, and allow other people to be able to have sewer, force main, like we need it down 190 in the worst way. Can't even get commercial development.
One thing I didn't mention, and I wanna make sure to mention is, the mobile plant is inside the development, but we ran dry lines all the way outside of the development, all the way to Duff Road, where the sewer district doesn't have to come into the development, they just have to come by the
They just need
development,
to hook
hook
it
up, change some valves out, change some fittings,
They'd be good
and
to
they're
go.
pumping in the right direction.
You got a motion?
I made the motion.
I'll
You made the
second
motion,
that.
let's, is there a second?
Yes.
Scooter King made a second. Just wanted to check with the audience and see if they had something they wanted to say.
Okay, help me understand, who's gonna put this agreement together?
Mr.
Mr.
Chris.
Moody,
And who's it gonna be signed by?
Parish president, and the designee of, and the designee of the,
Yeah, their signature.
They're gonna have a representative there signed too.
I mean, the agreement's gotta exist between Horton and the parish before, and once that agreement's in place that Chris is satisfied with, that developmental agreement, then whoever needs on the parish can move forward with the
I
sign of the
understand
plat.
all that. I just wanna, I'm just saying, if you'll put that in your motion,
Okay.
We'll put it together and get it to Chris for approval.
well, I just.
Yeah, he wants
Yeah, I mean,
motion, so how would you
I want the motion to basically reflect the fact that after the parish president or his designee and D.R. Horton's representative sign this agreement, then and only then can the planning department or whoever sign the final plat. And then permits can be issued, but at the same time, that agreement will state that no lots and or houses can be sold until we have an operational temporary sewer treatment plant.
So we're not gonna sign the plan until this agreement is made.
That's absolutely,
Yes,
that's
sir.
absolutely the case.
What's that? Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm glad you asked that question, Sam, you got that clarified.
I just wanted to include in the motion.
Okay, so you,
So we have someone else that would like to say something about this
I just wanna
agenda
ask
item.
if we can-
Don't forget to come up and state the old name there.
Chad Gold, Livingston Parish Sewer District, can we get a copy, request a copy of this agreement?
Oh, yeah,
whenever-
Chad, because
Absolutely.
basically, we're just going
Sure.
above and beyond what y'all's board.
Yeah,
Your
just-
board agreed to do everything, all y'all wanted was the bond and the CO, and we're just not letting houses get sold or lots
You
get sold.
explained it exactly how it needed to be
Okay.
included, that's all that.
Yeah, we'll
You
get,
good
we'll
with that,
definitely
Chad?
get,
I've heard,
So-
Mr. Gary explained it perfectly.
we'll definitely get
All
y'all.
of it, if we can get a copy of the agreement, just where we know that it's done and that we have it.
Okay.
Everything else is
No
separate.
problem.
thanks.
Thank you.
So wait,
Chad, so as a representative of the sewer district, you are okay with this?
That's exactly what the sewer district and the board has asked for, what Mr. Gary just said, yes, sir.
Okay.
nice, okay.
Anybody else have any discussion on this particular subject matter? All right, I think it's time to vote. So we're gonna need to call for the vote on this.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. McMorris?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Ellenhouse?
Yes.
Mr. Ard?
Yes.
Mr. Matt?
Yeah.
Mr. Talbot?
Yes.
Okay, where we at here?
Even if you gotta do this.
13B. This is a
Afraid I'll have to-
preliminary
You'll be all right.
resub at the corner of Palmer Road and Watts Road, dedicating one track to the parish of Livingston where the owner's property overlaps and extends over both roads located in Council District 8. Now, you go ahead, Mr. Gerald.
So this land here is Palmer Road, if you can see it here, the audience. It's like a V. So what they did, they donated land, an acre of land, so the parish would have access to all this property here. So I would make a motion to accept
To
this.
accept. Got a motion on the floor by Gerald McMorris to accept, and grant this waiver. No,
I'll
it's
second
not a
it.
waiver. It's not a waiver. To accept the resub
Right.
of this particular piece of property.
Chairman,
Yeah.
can you get our legal counsel to say that that's okay, adopt this resolution as signed?
It's fine.
Thank you.
So after the resub is done, is the property gonna be dedicated, given to the parish? We gonna allow for the resub, and they gonna give the parish the property?
Dedicated to the parish.
Okay.
Okay, motion was made by R.C.
Gerald.
Bubba Harris.
Jared?
No, the second was Bubba Harris, the motion was Mr. Gerald. Got that? All right, any discussion from the audience? Any more from council? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nobody? Great. Agenda item number 14A. This is, planning commission recommendations. We got, Mr. Sam here for that.
Mine's a lot easier.
I would bet.
Okay, guys, first on the agenda is telecommunication tower. This is in Mr. Randy Deluxe District. Verizon's preliminary site plan, South Frost Road, a little bit south of here on the right. It's a recommendation of the Livingston Parish Planning Commission to approve the preliminary site plan for Verizon contingent on structural analysis and drainage study being presented to our engineer for review.
I got a question.
Got a question by Scooter King.
So we had one of these a few months ago, and the drop zone for the tower was over the road, and we had a
Right.
big stink, and this one looks like it's the same deal.
No, the fall radius is,
This one has no waivers.
this is a 180-foot tower with a 221-foot setback. So if a 180-foot tower falls over, it's gonna stay outside the servitude.
What's the circle for? That's
The
just-
first circle, the inner circle is a 221-foot setback.
Okay. So
Which
then it don't
which
come
is
to
where
the
the,
end of road.
which that says the tower will not hit the
The
servitude.
road, okay.
The 500-foot is what they call the fall radius. I don't know why they have a 500-foot fall
You can't
radius.
follow that far.
180-foot tower theoretically
What
can't
if
get
the
in
wind
the
blew
road.
it?
It's
Well-
gonna be hooked at the bottom, it ain't coming loose.
Hurricane.
Thanks for clearing for that.
All right, that's the only question I had.
Anybody else want to talk about this?
Nope.
All right. Is there a motion on the floor to accept the preliminary site plan?
I'll make a motion.
Gerald McMorris. Anybody else second it? Jeff Ard. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Morgan, I got a question.
Oh, man.
No, I mean, I'm not, we're doing drainage impact study here. We're talking about gravel, we're talking about a gravel road, and are we gonna exceed the 10% of the property?
You have to make sure that they don't cause any creeks with that gravel road.
Okay, so I mean,
It's more like a drainage plan, they just have to show them how.
okay, so they're not having to do stormwater retention or anything like that, they just gotta show where the water's gonna go.
We haven't gotten it that far, they didn't wanna do that when they got the site.
Okay, he just said drainage impact study, and I'm thinking, we're talking about
A tower.
pervious material, we're not talking about a lot of concrete, I'm just surprised that, that's a consideration. But the study on the flow of water makes sense, I understand.
Yeah, some of those towers are set way back from the road and they have to cross creeks and whatever else, so sometimes we just wanna check that size, because you don't know what kind of creek they may cross just to get to it.
I make sense, when I think of drainage impact study, I'm thinking about concrete, where the flow is, where the pond's at.
The tension and everything.
Right, so I understand that, all right, thank you.
Okay. 14B, Lanyap RV Park, preliminary site plan.
This is commercial development, RV park. This is also in Mr. Randy Glad's district. They're asking for a waiver on the fence, and we have a letter from all the neighbors, the adjacent property owners. It is a recommendation of the Livingston Parish Planning Commission to approve the preliminary site plan for a land yap RV park with a waiver on the fence.
So no fence at all?
Right, no fence at all. They've got to ask for a waiver, but the people around it has granted them permission to do it without a waiver. Without a fence.
Adjacent landowners are good.
The landowners around it are okay with it.
Randy, did
It's
you
in
talk to Randy
Springfield.
about that? You did?
I mean,
Right there,
Oh.
right before you come
I
across.
don't see that being an issue.
The ordinance allows for, if your neighbor says that you don't have to put a fence up, you don't have to put a fence up.
I
do
make
we
a
have that
motion.
list?
So,
Yeah.
so he's,
Well, Sam says that they got the waiver signed.
Let her
They
look.
do. They
You
have-
saw- you
no
saw
fence
it?
in our-
We got
Okay.
somebody that would like to talk about this in the
Yeah.
audience.
They still have to request.
Come on up, Billy.
Yeah.
Just real quick, Billy Taylor, Macklin Taylor. So the south side does have a fence where we have neighbors. He owns the rest of the property to the north, which is gonna remain vacant. That's where he signed his own waiver.
Oh, okay.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thanks for that clarification.
Yeah, that
Glad you were
helped.
here. Motion by Scooter King, second by Mr. Gerald McMorris.
Okay.
Whoa, all in favor?
Uh,
Aye. Nobody opposed.
No.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Sam.
Okay, another commercial development, this is in Mr. Gary Talbert's district, Live Oak Baptist Church preliminary site plan. They want to do this thing in two phases, and I think Morgan agreed to do the drainage impact in the second phase, so, it's a recommendation of the Livingston Parish Planning Commission to approve the preliminary site plan for the Live Oak Baptist Church with the drainage impact study being done in the second phase and the waiver on the fence if the letter is received from the neighbor.
Basically what you've got is they tore a building down. They're replacing that building right away, but they did one big site plan. They're not gonna build a new sanctuary right off the bat. So in an effort to conserve their revenue or their money, we're gonna let them put the building up. The building, the replacement building's going up now without a drainage impact study. The house used to be property of the church, it's been sold, there's a 6-foot fence around it now. Technically, the code requires an 8-foot fence. However, because the sanctuary is not being built at this point in time, it doesn't impact the house. So, but if they do not receive the letter from the owner of the house at the time of the construction, they'll have to upgrade the fence at that point
So it's just a little-
in time. Right. I'd like to make a motion.
Got a motion by Gary Talbert. Approve this preliminary site plan.
I'll say it.
Second by Scooter
Why you gotta
King.
make me do that?
All right, any more discussion?
We're in a groove now.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good
Mr.
job,
Sam.
Sam. Thanks for coming.
You ain't got nothing else.
Agenda item number 15. This is a public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 20-16 to rescind and reenact chapter 125 subdivision regulations, sections 125-1 through sections 125-111, to include amendments recommended by Gravity Drainage District 1, Gravity Drainage District 2, and the Livingston Parish Planning Department. Is there someone here that would like to kind of explain a little bit?
I'll talk on it. This was done in the planning, in the, ordinance committee meeting over, what, a month,
Wow.
Tracy?
At
At
least,
least.
like 2
It
months.
was introduced
It's a month
when
meeting.
Shane was out.
Yeah.
We had the public hearing 2 weeks later when Shane was out. We approved all the amendments. I was in such a hurry, I forgot to call for the vote. So we approved the amendments, we didn't approve the ordinance, which required us to reintroduce it 3 weeks ago. And so now it is just a finalized vote on something that we all agreed upon one time, and I made a mistake.
So wait, are you saying that you
I was
actually said you made a mistake?
I was wrong.
No, you wasn't. It was a mistake. That wasn't wrong.
We didn't reintroduce it, we just reset the public hearing.
Yeah.
We reset the public hearing.
So you can be
Correct.
here.
So I guess we're gonna need
We need
to
to
open the public hearing.
She needs to read it.
Okay, so now we're gonna open the public hearing and you're gonna read the ordinance.
Sir. Okay. Resolution 20-16, ordinance to rescind and reenact chapter 125 twenty-five subdivision regulations of the code of ordinances in and for the parish of Livingston to amend the chapter in its entirety.
Is there any discussion from the audience on this particular agenda item? Any more from the council? All in favor? Aye.
You can close it up
Oh, whoa.
again. No, you wrong.
We'll now close the public hearing. Okay, motion was by who?
We didn't make one.
Did anybody make a motion?
I made a motion.
I thought Gary
Scooter
did. Scooter seconded.
Sure.
Okay,
We worked on it long enough.
so
It's
all in
not-
favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right,
Finally.
got through 15. All right. This is another public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 20-19 to rescind LP number 20-14, servitude revocation quitclaim located on Griffin Road in Council District 5 for Benjamin Luke Hand per recommendations received from administration. All right. We'll now open the public hearing, and Sandy, you can read it.
Proposed ordinance 20-19 is an ordinance to rescind LP number 20-14, revoking the dedication and abandoning and quitclaim in favor of the landowners of 40-foot all-purpose servitude across a certain tract of land formerly the Albert Fontenay property located in section 28, township 7, South Range 3 East, Greensburg Land District, east of the Mississippi River, Livingston Parish, Louisiana, and reintroduced per recommendations from administration being more particularly described here.
All right, appreciate that. Anybody from the audience like to say something about this? All right, anybody from the council? Okay, so now we're gonna close the public hearing. We have a motion to adopt this ordinance. Motion by Mr. Bubba, second by Gary Talbert. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nope. All right. Agenda item number 17, this is a public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 20-20 to rescind and reenact LP number 20-09 type D roads, adding commercial structures with 911 addresses. Okay, so we'll now open the public hearing, and Sandy's gonna read the ordinance.
This is proposed ordinance 20-20, it's an amendment, for an ordinance to rescind LP ordinance 20-09 and reenact by amendment chapter 58 roads and drainage, section 58-3, types of roads, and amending by adding section 58-6.1, type D roads to the code of ordinances in the parish.
All right. Is there any discussion from the audience on this particular agenda item? Any from the council?
Yeah,
I'm gonna Say that again.
I was gonna speak on it, but go ahead and close it.
I was gonna go ahead and close the public hearing. Tracy, go ahead.
I was just saying, whenever we created the type D road, subset in the road, ordinance. I don't know if it was just an oversight, we just said it was residential. But, you know, we have several roads that have, I have one in my district, it is 9 or 10 commercial business on it, it's like quarter-mile long. And we're talking about a type D road, and I believed in the spirit of what we were doing, we all agreed that should have been part. So it was basically an oversight for us. We had residential, so we added and/or commercial structures with 911 addresses. So this is just the change from the original.
This is really a fix.
Yes.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks for the explanation. Anybody else? Was there a motion to adopt the ordinance? Motion by Gerald McMoore, second by Tracy Gerlinghouse. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nope. All right. This is agenda item number 18. This is a public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 20-21 to amend chapter 125, section 125-4, exclusions, part A, 5, bona fide partitions. All right. So we're gonna now open the public hearing and ask Sandy to read the ordinance.
This is proposed ordinance 20-21. It's an ordinance to amend chapter 125 of the code of ordinances of Livingston Parish subdivision regulations, section 125-4, part A, 5, exclusions, as follows.
All right.
This basically is to amend the subdivision ordinance. This basically does away with the family partition exception. Basically what the ordinance said, what the subdivision ordinance used to allow for is that direct heirs of a situation didn't have to abide by basically any rules in subdivided property. And so consequently, the parish is outgrown it. I mean, there are rules set forth, and those rules need to be abided by everyone. And, you know, so consequently, we're just gonna eliminate that exclusion, and if you inherit property, you've gotta subdivide it along the same guidelines that everybody else has to subdivide. And you don't just because you're a descendant, get to just do whatever you want. Go around the rules, so to speak.
Is this public discussion?
Yeah, all you have to do is raise your hand, and we'll call upon you, and you can come on up and talk.
Now?
Yeah. So the public hearing's open, so yeah, come on up. Don't forget to state your name and address.
Thomas Crockwell, 1013 Memory Lane, Denver Springs, Louisiana. So, this ordinance you're saying, if let's just say I'm gonna inherit 5 or 6 acres from my family, I couldn't subdivide it the way I would like to?
You gotta subdivide according to the rules. I mean, there are rules set forth within the parish that everybody's gotta subdivide property. And there's no reason because you inherit property that the rules technically don't apply to you.
And you can
Okay.
subdivide it any way you want, you just gotta follow
gotta
the
follow
ordinance.
the-
You gotta
follow
just
the
follow the
ordinance.
ordinance.
Which ordinances?
The-
So like 125 now?
To divide the property.
So
the
125
subdivision
now, where it
ordinance.
says that I'm not allowed to subdivide in a named subdivision.
Mhm.
My daddy dies, he leaves me 6 acres within a named subdivision. I couldn't subdivide that property within that subdivision?
That's correct.
I'm 100% opposed to this.
So your
is
dad
this already?
Even
Your dad couldn't
whether this
subdivide,
was in here or not,
your dad
still
couldn't
would-
subdivide the 6 acres now.
Correct.
So just because he dies and you inherit it, what gives you the right to
So what,
circumvent the
so
laws?
what does that resident, what does that citizen do with that land?
Sell it, live on it. But, you know, I mean, the problem is, like, for example, the name subdivision. Name subdivisions, everybody who's in that name subdivision bought property along a particular design. If I've got a 6 acre tract and you've got a 6 acre tract and the person on this side of it's got a 6 acre tract, and everybody's built homes and they plan on having country type living with big lots.
What if they don't? What if they have a 1/4 acre? What if they have half an acre?
Well, typically subdivisions all tend to be, we're talking about name subdivisions. We're not talking about subdivisions of land, we're talking about name subdivisions,
Okay.
which tends to be confusing to
So
some
you're
people.
saying if I had an instance like I'm describing, I wouldn't be a named subdivision?
Well, it just depends.
That's what
All land is a subdivision.
True.
Okay, so, but we have determined, if you read the ordinance, it talks about a name subdivision. So, so in essence, like, for example, I live in Hunstock Hills, that's a name subdivision. Jeff Ard lives on 63, and it is a subdivision, but it is not a name subdivision. If that makes any sense to you.
100%. So, but what you're doing is you're taking property rights away from people, and that's wrong, fellas.
No, sir, that is not what we're doing. We're just making everybody in the entire parish stick to the same set of rules.
Well, this
No more, no
generation,
less.
this generation should have the same opportunities as the generations before it.
But you also shouldn't have the right to go into a named subdivision and cut up a lot, sell 4 where there shouldn't have been but 1 to devalue everybody else's.
Okay, but Mr. Crowell,
Not to mention the
let's,
drainage impact.
as for example, your dad has 6 acres. He has to abide by a certain set of rules that exist in the parish. Basically, what happens, he has a set of rules he has to abide by now. If you inherit that property from him, why should you have a different set of rules? That's what happens. In the exclusion of the family partition, basically what happened upon the death of one individual, their heirs didn't have to follow any rules in the subdivision of property. But, so they actually got more lenient rules or no rules compared to the property owner that preceded them. So we're not taking away anybody's rights. We're just making the heir follow the same set of rules that the person that left them the property had to follow.
Your ordinances take away people.
Well, I'm not gonna debate that fact. I mean, yeah, the ordinances protect, that's what happens in a civilized society. You create ordinances that the majority are protected. I'm not gonna say that it doesn't restrict certain individuals. I'm not gonna say it does do that. But the majority has spoken and they wanted these ordinances.
Okay, so on this
I
particular order.
just wanted to clarify a couple of things too, if it's all possible. It's to my understanding that we were basically requiring people to follow the minor subdivision ordinance, and we have been doing that for quite some time, and it hadn't really been an issue. And by removing this, we're basically just kind of cleaning up our paperwork so that we're, practicing, per the current ordinance, so, that's one reason why I think this is a good move. The other thing that, I listened to what you were saying, by adding this or removing this wouldn't prevent you from being able to subdivide the 6 acres that you're referring to. This ordinance removing this particular, exclusion. This is another ordinance that you're referencing that we maybe could even talk about in the future, of modifying. What happens here, if we doesn't remove this, is, multiple, what I call miniature lots can be formed on a small piece of property with no drainage plan, no sewer plan, basically no nothing, no roads, nothing. And then people go in there and they wind up, putting some type of residential structure on there. And then the property gets sold off, and then there's mass feuding over those type of things. And really and truly, this is really to me about making sure that, Livingston Parish is developed, the correct way in the future. So,
So you're more for taking that property, going back through planning and getting it structured?
yeah, you
Subdivided,
yeah,
zoning property.
yeah, and so, and the parish is willing to work with people. I mean, we have granted some waivers in the past, but if, in some way, shape, or form, there may still be an opportunity to subdivide something like that, if the majority of the council agrees, currently or in the future, so. But I do think this is a good move, to operate the way that we should, follow the rules, type thing, and, make sure that Livingston Parish is developed properly.
Rules of planning?
The ordinance is actually a local government law that is followed, to conduct parish business, buy property, all sorts of ordinances. It's actually a local government law.
Okay, that's all I got to say on that.
Appreciate you, buddy. Thanks very much. All right, is there anybody else that would like to discuss this particular ordinance removal? Okay, come on up.
My name is Brian Bickford, 29849 Gordon Meadows Lane. I'm not up here to dispute this anymore. This doesn't even pertain to me, but I just wanted to put it out there for y'all. I know that y'all are in a hard spot. I know what y'all are trying to do. Y'all are trying to look out for the best of the most of the parish. But not all of this parish is full of big subdivisions and people on top of each other, myself included in that. The property that I'm having a problem with is 8.5 acres in the middle of 200 acres. It's undeveloped, but I got somebody right up in front of me that thinks they don't need anybody else behind them. And that becomes a problem for families. What I'm trying to do right now is not a developer. I'm trying to literally give my brother an acre of land and my in-laws an acre of land so they can move on my property. I know that some people come in and take advantage of those rules, but y'all have a hard problem here
because so many people have been given advantages before that feel like they're being taken away. I felt like that at one point. That rule does not even actually apply to me because of the lineage. That was never explained to me in the beginning. But I just want y'all to err on the side of caution, and I know that y'all have waivers and things like that in there, but y'all may want to revisit something with the family aspect of it somewhere in y'all's plan because of things just like the right-of-way. You know, not having enough width. If you've got grandpa's land that had 50 acres, and just because somebody up front has already divided in 5 or 6 or 8 acres, or 8 lots, and they're half-acre lots and acre lots, and you've got 10 back there, and you're just wanting to have a family place, it's hard to absorb that you're being told that, no, you don't have enough driveway space here to let all your people live back there. You know, and I think that that's where you started, people, me in particular, it was like, it was taking it away from my family, making it harder. I understand, I'm fine with going with everything. My only hurdle is my right of way. You know, I'm fine with the drainage. I'm already making more drainage plans back there than what y'all want me to do anyway, because it's important to me not to flood again. So I just wanted to tell y'all, maybe consider that in the future to do something. And I know y'all do y'all's waivers and stuff, and I know y'all got y'all's reasons, but look out for the people in the rural areas too, not just in the big subdivisions, in the overgrown areas.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, anybody else? Any more from the council? Can't remember. I guess we're gonna close the public hearing. So, did we make a motion yet?
I'll make a
Motion by Gary Talbert, second by Tracy Girlinghouse. All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody that would oppose? Nope. Okay.
Yeah, we do. Do we have to open
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Just
We got
in case somebody's
Okay.
listening.
So, agenda item number 19 is a public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 20-22. This is to amend chapter 125, section 125-1, definitions of mobile home parks, or mobile home park definition. Okay, so we're gonna now open the public hearing, and Sandy's gonna read the ordinance.
This is proposed ordinance 20-22, an ordinance to amend chapter 125 of the Code of Ordinances of Livingston Parish Subdivision Regulations, Article 2, Mobile Home Parks, Section 125-49, definition as follows.
Okay, is there anybody here that would like to discuss this particular agenda item? All right, anybody from the council want to say something?
Motion to table.
Got a motion to table it. Okay, so if nobody wants to say anything, we're gonna close the public hearing, and we've got a motion to table it, and I don't really think we need to vote to table it, we're just gonna table it. Okay, agenda item 19, table. When you table it, is that indefinitely, or is that?
Yes.
We're basically killing it.
Defers when you give a table means.
Okay,
This one's dead.
all right. Agenda item number 20. This is to adopt a resolution to name an unnamed road, Creole Lane, located off of King George Bay Road in Council District 8. I just want to go ahead and say, Mr. Randy didn't miss this meeting. He actually had a medical emergency
That's a good.
within, you know,
The text said I'm at
Some
the
teeth
dentist, I'm at the
issues.
dentist in an emergency, and
I
I'm
ain't
not
gonna
gonna make
make
it.
okay.
That sounds like
Well, I don't know about that situation.
Yeah.
But if anybody else is here that could maybe give us a little bit of insight, you know, Mr. Gerald McMorris.
So this is an unnamed road, so they have the proper signature they have filed with the parish, so it won't be required. So with all the signatures of all the landowners that has 911 addresses, so I would make a motion to go ahead and accept this road into the
second.
Okay, so motion on the floor to accept this, or name this road, name this unnamed road. Okay, it was seconded by Bubba Harris, Creole Lane, spelled C-R-E-O-L-E. All right.
Good
Okay.
job.
Is that Creole?
So,
Real.
all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Agenda item number 21, this is to adopt a resolution to establish a four-way stop at Mango Drive and Black Walnut Drive located in Council District 6. This is Mr. Gerald McMorris's district. He has the floor.
Okay, so you see the picture in front of you?
Got it.
So the plat plan we passed a couple months ago for Hunter's Ridge, they actually tied into the existing road now. This has became a dangerous intersection here. Went out there and looked at it with the neighbors. So we'd like to make it a four-way stop for all
Second
traffic. Just, what's that?
I second that.
Thanks, I'll make the motion.
Motion on the floor by
Yeah,
Mr. Gerald McMorris, second by
It may
Stephen
not fix
King,
it, but it's important to put it
to
there so that.
adopt the resolution to put up the four-way stop. Anybody from the audience want to discuss this particular agenda item? Nope. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
I had that same situation in
We
Clear
all
Lakes
have.
when I was in Walker. They had a little intersection there and there was no development back there. And they added probably 20 houses and all of a sudden people were just blazing through there.
It's a racetrack.
Oh, yeah.
All right. This right here, agenda item number 22, is a waiver request of section 125-3, prohibitions and restrictions of use to allow a mobile home to be addressed and placed in a named subdivision for Eli Dugadberto, Matthew Riviera.
All right, this is in my district.
And
You're gonna go,
No.
Digna Janet Matthew, located in Pine Heaven Estate subdivision, and that's 16117 Roof Street, Walker, Louisiana. This is located in Mr. Tracy Burlinghouse's district.
Yeah, this is just a waiver, 125-3. There wasn't, they wanted to put a trailer in on a property. There are plenty of trailers already in this named subdivision.
This off Black Motor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there would have been one granted here already, since we enacted 125-3, it wouldn't even come to us, but from this point on, I guess in that particular neighborhood, it'll be good, so I'll make a motion for the waiver.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor to grant the waiver. Got a second by Jeff R. Is there any more discussion from anybody in the building? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No? Okay,
We gotta call for a vote.
so we're gonna call for the vote on this.
He always.
I'll call you John.
Mr. Harris,
No.
Mr. McMorris,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Girlinghouse,
Yes.
Mr. Ard,
Yes.
Mr. Mack,
Yeah.
Mr. Talbot,
Yes.
Okay, agenda item number 23. This is to adopt a resolution to extend the range on the servitude located on Gordon Meadow Lane for Mr. Brian Bigford. And this is my district, in Council District number 9. And,
What are we doing?
okay, let me try to explain to you everything. And it should be a map, okay?
So, Brian
Wait,
Bigford,
wait,
oh wait, no, that's
It's
not the
you.
right one, I'm sorry.
yeah, that's 29.
Okay, well, he's here and he can explain it, but let me just tell you what I know, okay? So, he needs addresses for his property, not a temporary address. He needs a permanent addresses for his property. He went to go try to get his permanent address, and in order to do so, the range of the road needed to be extended. I mean, the access is there, the servitude is there, everything is a go on that. We just need to make sure that the distance, and I don't know a whole lot about how all that works, but the distance of the road is the correct length so that he can get his addresses.
This is a private road.
Okay, this is a private servitude. Okay? This is, yeah.
So you have
So
to
just
extend the
get
length of your
911
road.
address.
Yeah,
Whenever I
he's
came
getting-
in to get the addresses originally, the lady showed me a plat, and she said that that road had a length on it. It stopped 928 feet before my property. Or before that next, 928 or something, there's some numbers
I
on
got
that.
you.
So roughly 928 feet or whatever it is, until it gets to my property line. It goes through two other parcels of property. I'm literally back in the woods. Well, she said that she didn't have enough range to give me any addresses back there because the 911 system doesn't allow for her to put numbers that far back because it said the road stopped up here. She said it had a length attached to the road whenever it was originally adopted. When I went and got my my measurements and came back up here, I was told something different. I was told a couple different things, and that's, apologize for the last time, but it happens. But now we're on the right track on getting this done here. So there was supposed to be two things on here of extending the range of the road, just to say this road, we're just making it 900 and whatever feet longer so that you can have addresses back here. And 911 knows that that road is that much longer. Makes perfect sense.
Basically, it's cutting through, you own that you're going through your property.
I own the right of way through the property.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that property owner's fine back there, like, he's happy that I'm putting.
So you're just tacking on to the end of the road.
I'm tacking on to the end of the road. Yeah.
So do you have a designated distance that we need to extend the range yet?
Miss Dee Dee said she was gonna use the measurements off of the plat. It measures up on those two
So
parcels.
do we need to extend it to
There's a
parcel?
confusion because like, one day they're saying that they need an actual distance and then one day they don't. So I don't know if somebody from 911 actually needs to go out there and pull a distance or something.
Are we gonna extend the range to parcel 12-7, or your parcel, 127,548?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
A.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So we're gonna extend the range to parcel 0127548A.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so we need a resolution to extend the range of the road through the parcel to the backside of the parcel. We need, if he's gonna have another address, we gotta go.
There's actually, the parcel, it doesn't show on that, but there's a 30-foot servitude once you get to my property that actually wraps all the way around my property.
Okay. So you just need the range extended to?
Just to my property line. It doesn't go through my property line.
I'll make a motion to extend, or a motion for resolution to extend the range of, what's the name of this road?
Gordon Meadows.
Gordon Meadow Lane to the property line of parcel 0127548A. You are A, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
I'll second that.
Okay.
I've got a motion on the floor by Gary Talbot to extend the range.
To the
Second
property
by-
line of that parcel number.
To the property line of that
Yes, sir.
I think that's the only
parcel
thing you
number.
can do.
And, Mr. Gerald McMoore seconded it. Okay, and so if there's no more discussion from the audience, we're gonna go ahead and vote on this. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Now, I wanted to say a couple of other things.
He had one more second thing.
Okay, so it should have been in this same agenda item. This gentleman is asking for a waiver to subdivide, this parcel property, 127,548, which is 8 acres,
8.5.
8.5. And he's got some family members he wants to live on this parcel property. And
Is he gonna have a homestead on?
he
Yes,
is.
sir.
Are those other pieces of property gonna be trailers?
This is the plan, is the way things are going. My mother-in-law and father-in-law put their home up for sale. They wanna buy a new mobile home, they just ready to retire. I don't have time to go work on their stuff or my stuff, you know. My brother is gonna be building a house back here.
That's what changed.
So if you see the two squares there, that
Yeah.
top square in that back left corner on the river edge, approximately an acre I need to put in my brother's name so he can get finance.
Have you
Where-
gone to planning to see how many properties are on the servitude?
Yes, sir. That's why they told me I needed to get a waiver for the servitude. Because there's 4, 5, 6, 7 back there. Parcels 127,522, all that, they actually have access from James Chapel. So even though it runs through his property, I don't know how that comes down into it. I don't know that what he's ever gonna do with that property. you
Well,
know?
I guess the situation exists that we can't tell what the original tract was or how this has been subdivided. So I can tell you that you can get an address, if you've got the homestead, you can get an address for your in-laws that are putting a trailer in. That's not a problem.
Right.
The
I think-
problem is the address for the acre. But you've gotta go to planning, they've gotta map it out, they gotta present it to us as to why it needs a, I mean, I understand, but we don't, I mean, I can look at this thing, I can't count where the subdivisions are on the original track is the problem.
Well, what planning told me when I went and sat down with them was to come in and to get y'all to okay the waiver. Once y'all okay the waiver based on this rough abstract of showing the general area of where things are gonna go, then I can go spend my money having everything drawn up by the, surveyors and all that to be able to come back and get my permits. I don't wanna go spend $2,000 or $3,000 getting stuff divided up, and they seen that side of it too, you know, and then come in and say, well, you can't get it divided up now because you only got a 30-foot wide surface.
Well, I mean, the issue is, right now, we don't know how many lots are on the surface. So,
Right
and
now,
they, go ahead. You
Go
wanna
ahead,
come,
Sam.
Sam, you wanna come help?
Yeah,
shed
please
some
help
light?
us, this is something where
I
we
mean,
need
it's
to.
not on the agenda, so we'd have to lift the agenda to give him the waiver. I mean, that's the first problem.
And what the gentleman is referring to is all right, we just wanted him to come get permission. First of all, as far as the range is concerned, I can work with Wendy and go out there and get a footage to make it qualify for your resolution, to make so he can extend his addressing on down the road. This situation, I just didn't want him to go into, go to an engineer and have a resub done and charge him whatever it costs, and then you guys come and knock.
Well, Sam, I think the problem
I understand what you're saying.
we don't know what the original track was. So I think tonight is kind of premature. If we knew what the original track of land was, what pieces of property that got subdivided have access to a different parish road, and then because it is over 5 acres, there is a different rule that applies. We need to figure out where we're at. Does it need a waiver or not need a waiver?
It needs a waiver. I'm telling you now, it needs a waiver.
You know how bad a waiver, how bad a waiver is.
I need it pretty bad. I don't care how bad he needs it, but I need it
There's
pretty
no
bad.
good ones.
I mean, you know, we in planning, the gentleman came to us and we come in there and talked and we showed him, you know, that where he needed the waiver, he had 2 lots on his one circle. So my recommendation was to get with talk to your councilman, and get this kind of where we for sure that what he wants to do, you're gonna accept before he goes and spends a bunch of money.
There's no other way to get
And
this.
now, I don't know how you're gonna resolve that problem.
And this is that family ties portion
It's just a
of,
situation where, I mean.
Well, I mean, I think we can resolve one address tonight. I think one address is easy.
and look, to make this easy, if y'all don't, I don't necessarily need to give my in-laws that acre. I was doing that for their peace of mind. Wouldn't you like if you moved on to your kid's place, noted you
Well,
can't?
you don't really even have to give it to them, they can just live there with
They
the
can
rest
just live there,
Yeah,
right. The problem is on my brother. He needs to be able to
to
mortgage
mortgage
it.
the property with it.
Well,
So he can't mortgage the whole 8.5 acres, cause then I can't mortgage my part.
I think the problem is we can't give a waiver tonight because it's not on the agenda, and I don't think we really know. So I think you gotta visit with Shane, and Shane gotta come make a recommendation to us.
Well, I can go ahead and tell you, I'm good with it. It's really,
I'm really, look, my kids are gonna start it back in Tangipahoa Parish. I'm trying to get moved. I bought this property back in
it's
December.
8 acres.
I've been just revolving back and forth.
It's not 0.45 acres or 0.3 acres or nothing like that.
You ran one lot.
Well, I mean, it's a decision that needs to be made, you know, somebody needs to make a motion, I can't make a
Well,
motion.
you can't,
So we gotta lift the agenda
you
first.
can't,
Yeah.
it's not on the agenda.
Motion to lift.
Well, you'd have to
we can
lift
make a
the
motion to lift
agenda,
the
we'd have to
agenda.
lift the agenda first, and then. So who wants to make a motion to lift the agenda? I mean,
Is there a motion on the floor to lift the agenda to talk about granting these waivers?
I think that's kind of, I think we need to just.
I would like to see it come back to us.
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. 2 weeks is bad for you? I mean,
No, no,
I
I mean,
think
2
we all
weeks is
understand it
fine.
with you, but we'd like to see a
The
layout.
issue is that we don't have a
Layout.
layout.
Actual
Yeah,
answer
okay.
now, because see, I talked to Mr. Shane and I appreciate you sticking up that, you know, I was told that both of these items were gonna be on this agenda.
Yeah,
I was told to call, I called twice, I did not get a call back from the lady I called. I know y'all are all busy, y'all don't have time to do all this stuff. I'm busy too, it takes me a lot of time, believe me, I need to be at work doing some stuff right now at home with my kids. I'm tired of having to come back and forth in here. And it's kinda like the situation y'all got with the people earlier with the subdivision, you know? It's,
Yeah.
there's infrastructure there, and there's stuff there, but,
Yeah.
and you know, it's
Yeah.
y'all in a
Yeah.
hard spot, I told y'all.
Yeah.
We keep running into the same thing over
But
and
my
over.
biggest
But I would
thing-
have to understand how many are we gonna be breaking out now on this survey?
Because
It's
if
gonna
we
be one,
just pass a
Say,
waiver,
put
they
on the
can
agenda
divide the
2
whole
weeks.
thing.
Get a, you got the,
I'm only
original
asking
plot.
for the waiver to separate into 3 plots. 2 1-acre spots, and then the rest of it's gonna be mine.
So you can have mine, just go to Jeff's thing and figure out what the original track was, maybe contact planning, and have it in the packet, so that
Yeah, 'cause
everybody,
we hate to
so
split the
everybody can
agenda
see in
for
2
that, yeah.
weeks exactly how many, what the original track was and how many lots have been subdivided, see if we can help them.
Is there somebody is it Mr. Shane that I need to go to
I
say,
think-
where's my
I think-
packet at?
I think Shane's good.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
I just need
Sandy's
to
gonna,
find a-
she knows what,
Right here.
she knows what she needs to do. It'll be in our packet in 2 weeks, and
Council
we'll be able
clerk.
to, it'll be a lot better.
And
better
what's her
clarification.
name? Maybe I can come,
Sandy.
Miss Sandy? And maybe I can come get a copy of it too, or talk with you, or call you to make sure. I just don't, in
Well,
2 weeks.
Angie-
I know, you don't wanna make it 2 more weeks.
Angie will
than
be
two-
here,
I get you.
Angie will be
Yeah.
here next week, and
Yeah.
Lauren will be here the following week. So, but they will be sure to get you a copy of that next
So
week.
in 2 weeks, I'll be on the agenda for the waiver.
Yes,
All right, I appreciate it.
thank you, sir.
no, you didn't.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you have a map on 24?
No, I don't have anything.
We have a map on that?
Okay, so let's move forward here. Agenda item number 24, this is to discuss subdivision of property in Live Oak Acres for Thomas Crutwell, who is requesting a waiver of section 125-9 submittals to allow re-subdivision of a lot and a name to the subdivision. All right. So
Man, I'll go
20
ahead and ask y'all forgiveness now if I get excited.
No,
I think
no,
I'm-
no, no,
I think I'm
no.
a minority, I don't have enough maps for everybody.
That's okay.
Okay.
Here,
We
just,
just need one.
We just need one, please.
just pass that one down there.
I'll share with you.
I don't mean nobody no offense, but would you get one? You
Here,
get
take
one?
that one.
Is that the whole piece and then, I bet it is.
So it's 15, if y'all will let me know point it.
Okay, so this is lot 15, you wanna cut 15 into 15 and 15A?
So 15A, so that was, used to be one lot. It went to 15 and 15A. I wanna cut 15.
In half.
Yes, sir.
In the name subdivision.
In the name subdivision. Built in 1955.
We have an overview of the whole subdivision, know whether
I do
it's
have
been
one,
cut
matter of
up.
fact, would you like one?
Yeah, has any of it, the rest of them been cut up like that?
What's the address, Scoot?
I don't know.
The address is 8800 James Street.
Okay, I'm on
Yeah,
88,
pull it up, let's
8800 James.
8800 James Street.
That's usually my, oh, I'm sorry, Shane. That's usually what helps me decide on these type of things, is if, like Gary had said earlier, if everything in here is an acre and you cutting it into a quarter of an
this,
acre.
This is gonna be the original map.
Okay.
And if you flip, you'll see the geo portal. Y'all need one now?
Yes, please.
This is live oak.
Now, I'm kinda
So where's that lot on here?
like,
What number is it? Mm-hmm. Look. I'll cut it again.
I would like to go ahead and,
Yes,
read something to
yeah,
y'all.
let him go ahead and explain what
Yeah,
he really wants to
please.
do.
So I can stay on track.
Did you state your name? I can't remember.
Okay. Thomas Crockwell, 10138 River Lane, Denham Springs, Louisiana, 70726. All right, so, we're not here tonight to request a vote of a waiver, actually.
I'm looking.
We're here to request an opportunity to have our proposal to subdivide our lot into 2 lots reviewed by planning. We believe this is a good living, quality home site development and will not cause any drainage issues to our neighbors. My lot has the ability, available room, and access to allow for utilities and drainage. There are ditches on all property lines, front, back, and sides. We have spoken to Sam at Gravity Drainage. He didn't give me any inclination that there's a drainage problem in the subdivision. He might have more input tonight, I don't know if he's had any calls or whatnot. Concerning traffic, our lot is at the very front of the subdivision and is 2 lots from the main highway. There will be no servitude required to access the property. Both driveways would lead out to James Street. This subdivision was developed in 1955 and lots range from 0.3 of an acre to 6 acre tracts. Each lot would be approximately 0.45 acres each. It's about 0.9 acres, I believe, if you look at it. My parents own 6 acres, and my 3 brothers with their families also live in the subdivision. One, which is 1 door away from this lot. So you got this lot, another lot, and my brother. We were under the impression subdividing our lot wouldn't be an issue, being there have been many done in this subdivision. I would not be the first. My family and I should have the same property rights and opportunity as past generations. At a minimum, we would like our proposal reviewed by planning and a decision made based on planning's determination and administrative procedures.
So you want it sent to planning?
I feel like it should go to planning, and if planning says it's good, I feel like the council should say it's good. If
So
planning says it's quality,
Go ahead.
So what's on that lot now?
it's vacant. There was a mobile home there before.
And it moved after the flood?
It was a bank-owned property.
Okay. And that's across the street from that other house that had never been redone. It faces, just 2 lots down, but right, at the county corner from it?
I believe so, yeah.
It won't
So you want the county, you just want to submit the subdivision deal to planning and let them
I
evaluate?
want a fair shake.
Well, our ordinance says that you can't do it.
Well, I understand, but if, I mean, you
But
can,
at the
you
same
can send
time-
anything to planning and have them evaluate.
Yeah, I mean,
But what
Then
I'm
we'd have
asking
something to hang our
is
hat
that
on
you
in
give
it.
me a fair shake.
Do you oppose,
I'm
let
not
them
wild about
send it to
spending
planning,
money.
let's see what they tell us?
I'm not wild about spending money. Nothing.
Sam, can we send something to planning and ask them to submit it and cut something, make a recommendation on cut something in half without a certified drawing? Could he just make a sketch and send it to planning for evaluation?
What do you want me to evaluate?
I want planning to make a recommendation. What do they think? I mean, planning does make recommendations on waivers at times. So, in an effort to give him a fair shake, he could send the thing to planning, let planning make a recommendation on
Well,
whether.
I think what you're trying, you want a recommendation on giving him the second and third address? Or
Just
when he
to,
resubs the property?
yeah, resub the property.
When he resubs the property.
Could he do that without spending the money? Could he send it to planning with a line drawn in it and said, and let him give the same speech to
It's-
planning he gave to us and let's follow planning's
It's
recommendation?
very easy, Mike.
I don't
It's
have
200
a
by 200.
problem.
It's kind of like,
But I'm just, you know, are you gonna do all of this? Is this gonna,
I mean, I will listen to planning's recommendation. I will hear it. I'm sorry, Mr. Sam, but I still want to rule on this.
Well, I understand, but I guess what I'm saying is, that given what I see right now, I know I'm a vote. So if he wants a fair shake, I think that if planning came up with a different recommendation, then he might get a more favorable vote from me. Ultimately, so I think that if he goes to planning and planning comes back with a favorable recommendation, then he's in a much better position to get the vote that he's looking for. Because if we vote tonight, I don't think he's gonna like the way I vote. So I'm wondering if.
That. So that's why I want to shut that down.
No, I mean, that's why I'm wondering if we wouldn't be better off
I'm
to.
gonna make a motion to go ahead.
But as long as he understands, now, Mr. Crowell, I want you to understand, it's regardless of how planning votes for it, against it, 9 for it, 9 against, it still has to come to us, back to us. just want you to understand
I
that.
do understand
Okay,
that.
okay.
And-
But,
Now,
but,
are you saying the planning commission or the planning department?
planning commission,
So you want it to go before the planning commission?
and let him make the
Let them
same
make the recommendation.
to us.
And then come to you guys.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, to deny or accept
I
whatever
mean,
ordinance is
let's be honest, I think
I
if
don't
he,
have a problem with that, but I mean, why do you want to take this man's time?
He's asking for it.
Asking to do it.
I think the only way he's gonna really get what he wants is if it goes to planning and planning gives it a favorable recommendation. If we vote tonight, he's not gonna be happy with the vote. So I think the best bet is to send it to planning and then have planning tell us, I think that would be okay. I mean, that's how I feel. I'm just being as honest with you as I can be. You know what I'm
And
saying?
you know what, Mr. Carl, I appreciate your honesty, because, you said a few meetings ago that this ordinance was meant to prevent the first subdivision. Mr. Shane, you said this ordinance the intent of it was to promote good development,
And not to take.
not to take away people's rights.
But I can say, just to clarify though, this ordinance, and I'll go ahead and own it, the ordinance is my ordinance, I wrote it, and my intent was if there's a neighborhood that people moved into, and I get your situation too, because it is old. It's very, very old neighborhood.
67 years old.
Yeah,
And it's been
but,
subdivided.
typically in a municipality, there are rules to prevent that, where in the parish there weren't. People go into a neighborhood buying property with a reasonable intent that they're gonna look at the overview and go, well, look, there's only 100 houses in this neighborhood.
If you know
We're gonna buy that. But I also understand, I do. But my intent was to kind of put a halt to that. But I will tell you this, I put a lot of stock in my planning officials' recommendation. So I don't have a problem with you bringing it to Mr. Burns and the planning board and hearing his word, hearing his views on it, because God knows he's been around longer than I have.
It's a subdivision, but we got grazing horses. We
Yeah.
got multiple lots with horses.
Can we hear that again? I couldn't hear what you said.
Yeah. So,
It's-
yeah.
It's a named subdivision, but we have multiple lots with grazing horses.
Yep.
Oh, look, I mean, I
And that's
can,
why people bought there though. Now you wanna put little lots.
Well,
you know, I
And can't
guess,
grab the horse on.
I guess here's the deal.
they're all old.
If you weren't cutting the original lot into 2 quarters, you know what I'm saying? It's already been cut in half, and you're gonna take a half and cut it in half again. I think that's my concern, is that I look on this block, and the majority of the lots on this given block are original. About 30, well, on this, I'm looking at the corner of James and Live Oak, and I'm looking down it, and look like, I know that the 2 lots that face James Street have been cut in half. And then there's a lot that faces Live Oak, 2 lots behind you that's been cut in half. But you gotta go over to Denver to get some lots that have been cut into quarters.
You can keep going down Denver. It's actually James. Keep going down James to Denver, and there's other lots cut.
I see them,
I can take you around and show you them all.
Well, I've been through there, I got friends that live back there.
Mr. Cromwell, those were done before the ordinance. And since that time, the ordinance has been passed
Mr. Bo,
to take care of that problem.
It's also worth noting that there was a waiver requested in the same district on May 28th of this year for Hemisphere Farms. It's almost the same exact
he took
example.
one lot and
Well,
put it into 5.
It was in 1967 was the original established date for the subdivision, and it was unanimously passed.
No, I doubt I voted for it.
No,
Actually,
and made,
I mean,
I think that was that big piece of property that we divided into 5 lots.
It was
Yeah.
the same district.
But
and
it's a
there
big
was
piece of
no-
property on 5 lots.
and it was by
No,
what?
it wasn't a big piece of property, it was,
Mr. Sam's got something.
Go ahead, Mr. Sam.
Would you take my recommendation to save anybody from having to spend the time to go? I mean, we've got a great planning commission, you're right about that, we've got some conscientious guys on that thing. But, you know, they're there to tell you, whether or not you uphold your right, or you uphold your ordinance.
Yeah,
This has really nothing to do with it.
because he's trying to get away.
And I've got a few folks, and I can, if you have a concern, though, you can call me with that concern. And I'll send somebody out there with you, or with you, Tracy, or Jeff, and we'll go out there and see it, instead of having these folks have to wait till the following month to get on the planning commission agenda, because planning meets once a month. And you have to be on that agenda by the 18th in order to be on the next month's agenda. So if you've got a problem with it, if you've got a concern in it, call me. I don't mind, you know, trying to expedite this resubbing situation.
Well, I guess, look, from my personal point of view, I can't speak for everybody. If I had to vote based on what I see, I know I'm gonna vote. If somebody can make a recommendation, explain to me why it needs to be
I'm
different,
saying that.
I will listen to that. That's just how I feel.
Doesn't mean
when
it's
it
gonna
feels.
change anything,
I
but
don't
it
bet the
might,
better-
you never
It's
know.
not a sure thing that this gentleman might get his request.
I'm
At least
not-
I can stand up here and say, I went out there and looked at it. I don't see a problem.
I think waivers need to come before council for approval.
Oh, I
And
don't,
it's
They-
gonna
Oh,
come to
they'd
you.
still
It's
come
gonna
before
come to
them. It wouldn't,
I'm just saying.
I'm
that-
just gonna make a recommendation.
I hadn't been to look at the property, I'm looking at it from a map.
I follow you. I see
And
what
so,
you're
and
saying.
so if somebody else went and made the evaluation and made a recommendation based on that, I mean, I would take that into consideration in 2 weeks, but right now, I know how I'm gonna vote, and so I'm just trying to be forthright, because his initial thing said is he wanted the planning to evaluate it. I'm all in favor of sending it to planning, whether it be Sam's office evaluation or the commission evaluates it. And then they do it based on what their results are, what their recommendations are.
Well, nothing against Sam's office, but if it's gonna be going that way, I want the commission to.
Okay, well then,
What was that? I couldn't hear that.
I think Bubba would like it to go before the commission and let them vote on it in a public hearing. So you would go to the commission is it the first Wednesday?
First Wednesday. of every
First
month.
Wednesday next month, and make your presentation to them, and then we've got a meeting that's probably, within a week of that time, we'll have a meeting, and we'll give you a final answer.
Planning commission,
Would be the first, but you need to call
You need to call our office.
Monday,
And be on the agenda before the 18th.
so you need to call, which,
Before Tuesday, 30 years.
that number is, I'm gonna give you the number. I got it here somewhere.
686-3062.
Yeah, I gotta look it up, I can't remember.
225-686-3062.
Mine just said now.
Call Monday and get on the agenda for the
and you want them to vote on,
Whether it
Just
fits
make
all,
make your
tell us
present,
what
make your
their thing is.
presentation, tell them that I
This
wanna
is what
cut
I'm
this lot
planning to
in
do.
half and I need to wait. And let them make an evaluation.
okay, and then they'll make an evaluation and then I come back.
And they'll send it, just like where you saw the items tonight
From the planning.
from the planning commission, they had recommendations on waivers or whatever, yes, whatever. Then it comes before us and we take their recommendation and vote it. I think that's your best shot.
And that's what you asked for, right?
That is what I asked.
That's your best shot.
I got
I'm just
one
gonna be,
question.
I'm gonna be
So-
honest with you.
This has no bearing on whether the lots get cut in half. What are you planning to do with the two lots?
So,
My mom will live on one lot. We're trying to offset the cost. of
In
hers.
houses?
She has a mobile home and we're built a house.
it's allowed.
The mobile home's already has a permit to go on the lot.
They've already had a mobile home there. It's already permitted.
Yes,
That's
we
not-
already allowed that.
Correct.
Well, because that.
And like I told Bubba, I would not put two mobile homes on this property.
Right, that's not our intent. It's to bring riffraff in because my mom is living
Right,
on the
and
other
like I
side.
said, my parents live in this subdivision, my three brothers and their families live in this subdivision, I have other family in this subdivision. My whole family lives less than a mile from this lot. As a crow flies, or a mile above it, I would not,
And you inherited the lot?
no, I bought this.
You
lot.
bought that lot?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I got confused because a while ago when you was telling me I was taking people's rights away, see,
Well,
so I ought to wait until later.
My parents own 6 acres in this
Inside.
subdivision.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, I
got it.
understand,
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
And it does, it's a hard spot, I get it. All right, so that's, you need to,
No, I think he knows he's gonna do Monday, they gonna make a phone call Monday, and he gonna be on the agenda here in 2 weeks or whatever, or
However long
the
it is.
first, the second Thursday of, September.
Second Tuesday, second Thursday in September, you'd be back here.
So you first, be the first Wednesday and second
month
Thursday.
from now.
Yeah.
All right. Move on.
Second Thursday of September.
Right.
Oh, don't say that.
It's 2020, you never know.
Again, fellas, sorry if I got excited.
No, I was playing with you. I was
It's
trying
a
to
little
mess with
subject,
you.
it's a little passionate
No.
point, and
Passion's
No,
okay.
you were actually very
Appreciate you
calm.
coming. Yeah.
Compared to some people, yeah, I mean,
All right.
actually quite pleasant.
Appreciate y'all very much.
thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Okay,
You too.
agenda item number 25. This is to add roads located in Clear Lake subdivision to the parish maintenance system under type D roads. This is in Mr. R.C. Bubba Harris's district.
Is this,
Yes, it is.
Yes.
is that the one that the lady always comes and speaks to us real
Right,
nice?
right.
They've been spending a bunch of money on those roads.
Yeah, but, she chose not to come tonight, and I have petitions with all the signatures asking to put it as a Class D roads in there, so the parish can go in and help with it.
You making a motion, Bob?
Yes,
I second.
Motion by Bubba Harris, second by Gary Calvert. Anybody in the audience want to talk about this? Anybody from council? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nope. All
Can
right.
I make that one comment about Class D roads before we move on?
Sure.
I don't even know whether we need to, here's the issue, we coming across these Class D roads, and they're half paved, half concrete, half this, half that,
Yeah.
half it,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So how are we gonna, how is DPW to address that? Are we gonna tear all that out and make it a gravel road?
Depends. I mean,
Well, there's a lot of roads in Livingston Parish in really rough shape, and they're just gonna do the best they can with the
Well, I mean,
knowledge
then,
and experience they have to
can we put a
maintain the road.
direction on where they need to go
They
with
have to
this?
evaluate the road
I
case
think,
by case.
I think it's a
Come on up,
if
Mr.
it's a
Sam.
budgeted issue that we gotta address, and, you know, I mean, what you got, Sam?
Well, I just wanted, we need to clarify, when we say Class D roads, what am I responsible for?
Just the
You've got
roads.
Street signs in there, you've got drainage in there, you've
No
got
drainage.
roads in there, like Mr. Scooter said, half asphalt and half
Oh, I
gravel.
thought you said.
What do I need to do? What do you people expect me to do?
the roads.
What we talked,
the roads.
Sam, what we talked about,
Here.
Signs?
No,
We
no.
don't put street signs up on roads?
well, now, 911 addresses, we put street signs anyway on 911, we already do that.
Just-
Hey,
red
I'm
sign.
all,
I
I'm
think,
all for helping people,
I think the
but I just wanna
911
make sure you know what you're getting into.
I think, Sam, what we talked about was a public safety issue. We
We're
weren't
gonna
gonna
have to clarify that a little bit more, because
I got
that's
something I wanna say.
pretty wrong. As far as-
well, I think,
I'd like for you to maintain it just like you do any other road in Livingston Parish to the best of your ability.
Whoa.
Chris, you want, you got any,
Now, not overlaying,
No.
I'm not saying overlay,
Okay,
but just maintain
Let's
it.
say half of
Hey,
the
if
blacktop
that's what you
with
wanna do,
potholes.
I'm okay with
Do
it.
you want him to patch the potholes with patching material?
I'd like for him to make a decision on what's best for the road.
Can we ask Mr. Moody
Yes, you
about his
can.
thoughts on this?
Please.
Well, I think I weighed in when you first considered this issue. You know, I think you're asking for trouble
Yep.
long-term because you're gonna start being responsible for every little private lane in the whole parish. And you're also creating a liability issue. Now it becomes a public road because they will do maintenance. And so if you do it for 3 years, it becomes your road. And so people driving down that highway and hitting the bad pothole and breaks their transmission up, and we don't pay judgments now, I know that's not a big concern, but you can just open yourself to more liability.
Well, I mean,
And it also reduces the incentive for these property owners to bring that road up to standard so that you then would take it over. And it seems also unfair to all those other people around the parish that did it the right way. And they paid their money and got the roads done right, and then you accepted them. So, I don't know, it just seems to me you're going to create a perpetual problem of bad roads.
Well, I mean,
and it's going to
but
stretch the budget
To
at
be
some
clear,
point.
Mr. Moody, there are people that have been living on a road that they've been paying the taxes, they've been paying their sales taxes, and we're not, and I'm certainly not in agreement with the statement that Mr. Mack made. We're not gonna maintain those roads like
Any
all the other
road,
roads.
yeah,
No, these are being brought in to make
Pass.
passable for a safety purposes.
So
So,
it's different from what I said, what he just said. Is
Well,
it clearly defined?
bunch.
Just maintain it. Now, I didn't talk about ditches. We talked in the ordinance committee, and we didn't agree to cleaning ditches. We're talking about actually just maintaining the road. What do we do today to maintain roads? We fill potholes? We grade them if they're gravel? What else do you do to maintain a road?
sometimes you go in there and fix the foundation.
Sometimes we dig them out,
which
put
we ain't
stone in
gonna
them,
do.
let them set for a while, and then we
Yeah.
patch them, or asphalt.
Stuff we're
I
not
mean,
gonna do.
I mean, if you have zero base underneath the road, you've gotta put a base. You can't just go in there and patch it, because it's gonna last about 2 weeks, and then you're gonna be back in there and do it again.
I say make the right decision, maintain the road. That's what maintaining roads is.
I mean, hey, I think that's something ordinance committee need to take up.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to take up
Would
and
you
make
like
sure.
a written criteria?
If it needs clarification, we'll clarify it for you.
Written criteria for you to address a D road. That would help you?
Yes.
I don't have a problem. Just-
That's what we need to work on.
Let me
Put that
make it
down.
clear, I'm all for helping.
Oh, yes, sir, we know.
But
We
I
know.
just wanna be consistent with what I do.
Well, I also want to be clear, this is not going to get out of hand, not, I mean.
No, not when we're here.
No.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you, Mr. Sam.
That's how that begins.
Okay, agenda item number
26.
26.
26. Chair.
Go ahead, Mr. Gerald McMorris. This is discuss the river and land erosion of Cypress Point subdivision.
So we're gonna take this finally off the agenda. They're gonna meet with Leighton Ritz and proper people, what we need to, direction we need to go in to try to.
Is this the one where the houses will come out?
Yeah, where all the land erosion's happening. So we get the ball rolling, so they're gonna meet with the parish president and Homeland Security people.
Okay.
All
And
right,
state
good.
officials.
All right.
That's who needs to handle that.
All
That's
right.
perfect.
So agenda item number 27, this is discussion of drainage and flooding on Paradise Road in Marpaw. This is in Mr. Randy's district. He actually contacted me and asked me to take this off the agenda because he's not available to be here tonight, and this is his district. So if he so chooses, he can put it on the next council agenda, no problem.
Okay.
So, that was his wishes. Right. 28, Gravity Drainage District Number 7, Board reappointments. 3 appointments to be made that expire on August 13th, 2020. Gerald McMorris and Randy Delatt. Randy's not here.
Yeah.
You can handle it?
Yes, so
Okay.
what we're gonna do here, Mr. Chair, we're gonna go ahead and recommend that Mr. Charles McCon go to the month instead of the year. He's up in age, and I gotta find a replacement for him. So we're gonna do a month for Mr. Charles McCon.
You're just gonna let him serve until you
Yes,
find a
until we
replacement.
find a replacement.
Okay.
He's up in his 80s, so we're gonna,
Are they meeting still?
they are not meeting, but we are fixing to start back meeting again
Please,
to,
we gotta get that funded.
that's correct, so
It's important, man. My funded district's doing amazing.
we're gonna take care of you.
Okay, so,
That's one.
so
All right.
really and truly,
So the only one we have is, Mr. Larry O'Neill,
okay,
and that's gonna be District 8 for Randy Delatt.
okay, and do we wanna wait on that, or?
So we'd like to just do another month for him also.
Well,
Go ahead.
he actually is off.
He's
and
resigned.
replaced-
Yeah, he
he's
resigned.
We'll have to put him back.
That's why he's kind of.
But it's okay, I mean, we can add it next meeting, or we
it's
can,
a vacant-
if you wanna add
So,
somebody.
yeah,
I mean,
basically, if you don't replace somebody, they serve month to month until you do. So basically, when y'all get y'all's 3 appointments, You can just put them back on, and those individuals can serve up until you put them on.
So we don't have to make it.
Right.
I had to vote on it.
Okay, so we're good on that.
All right. So, agenda item number 29. Let's talk about this one. This is a waiver request of section 125-9 submittals to allow a re-subdivision of a lot into 2 tracts located in Tickfall Acres on LA Highway 441 for Kristen Page in Council District 9. Okay, and so, she's here tonight. She can come on up and say her name and talk a little bit about the situation. But I talked to Miss Kristen, and you know, the council is, like I said earlier, you know, trying to do what they can to promote good development. Okay. What we actually had passed was a ordinance that said that you couldn't subdivide in a subdivision that had been, you know, subdivided with under the ordinance of with improvements or without improvements, right? And so this here subdivision would be, you know, in a subdivision that was designed and developed without improvements. Now, after I got to thinking about the last meeting and the way we voted and you know, what I felt like was honest and fair way to serve people of Livingston Parish was, you know, there's so many different cases and scenarios when it comes to subdividing. You know, sometimes you might have 8 acres, sometimes you might have 2 acres, sometimes you might have a quarter of an acre and you're trying to subdivide it into 2. I guess maybe that's a little bit too small, but I mean, and it was really all about making sure that, I guess, one part of it was making sure that we didn't go in and run a subdivision where where a subdivision was designed and developed, somebody had went into a subdivision, bought a lot, you know, based on the fact that, you know, all the lots were symmetric, and they were all this size, and that, you know, the value would be held. And, you know, we ran into some problems in the past where people would go into those type of subdivisions and chop them all up into little bitty lots, and it would kind of devalue others, and we had all kind of drainage problems and stuff like that, you know, and sewer problems and this and that and the other, and it kind of messed up the overall design and intent of the original subdivision. And, you know, so we passed that ordinance, and I think it's a good ordinance. But on the other hand, I think that, you know, in some way, shape, or form, you may be able to still subdivide within these subdivisions, such as, like, maybe we could come up with a set of rules, like if you got the divisions of property are maybe 3/4 of an acre each after being subdivided, and maybe drainage servitude or drainage, you know, passage is maybe, you know, signed such that the parish has permission to maybe clean out a lateral that will need to be cleaned out in order to drain property, you know, because we run into a lot of problems whenever we just grant these waivers and don't go through planning and have a dedicated drainage servitude, then we get denied the actual opportunity to go on property and actually clean out a drainage that needs to happen in order to, you know, keep all the water off everybody's property and underneath their house and everything else, you know. So I was thinking, talked to Miss Kristen, that if, you know, if they had a parcel of property, they wanted to divide it, and it was big enough so that after it was divided, you could have 2 3/4 acre lots or bigger, and that there was a drainage plan that allowed the parish to, you know, look at and make sure that, you know, wasn't no drainage issue with the property, and that, you know, there wasn't no sewer issue, and last but not least, that the surrounding neighbors were not opposed to the division of property, that maybe we could grant the waiver, you know, and give the people their opportunity to subdivide the property. And so that's just how I feel. I'm not trying to, you know, force anybody else to do something that they don't believe is the right way to develop Livingston Parish, but I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. And so I'm in favor of this waiver based on the things that I just talked about. And anybody else needs the floor, y'all go ahead.
Hey, I got something to say.
Go ahead, Mr. Bowles.
All right, you on the ordinance committee, everybody that's on the ordinance committee worked hard on this.
That's right.
Why are we just giving waivers right one after the other? I think maybe we should just do away with the waiver and say, all right, y'all go do what you wanna do.
That's a very valid point. I don't agree that we should just grant waivers, you know, for whatever, you know, and just let it,
But that's
whatever
what
go,
we're
how we
doing,
go
that's
it.
what I don't understand.
Well, I think in this particular case, that,
This would be the first lot cut up in the subdivision, won't it?
no, well, I don't know the answer to that question.
According to this map, it looks like it.
As far as I understand it is, I mean, from what our survey.
So are you trying to cut 70 in half, or are you trying to cut 70 and 71 in half?
Well, our original intent when we purchased the property last year, the ordinance wasn't in place. Our original intent was to try and cut both of them in half and have 4 separate lots. We also own lot 84 that is west of this, which backs up to these two proposed B, 71B and 70B. That was the original intent at this point. If we could get one of them, that would be spectacular, I think, after sitting tonight. We didn't know about the ordinance, until a month ago, and, I thought we could do it when we bought the property, of course. And I understand y'all's position on why you guys have decided to start, making these, restrictions on the properties and for drainage. This is very rural, undeveloped. We have vacant lots and woods on almost every side of us. There's no immediate homes in any direction on any of these properties. So we wouldn't be affecting anyone's homes.
So this is not a whole lot different than what we did in Jeff's district, along with Major, what road is that?
This is Riverview Avenue. It swings back into Highway 441.
Okay. This is north of Holden or south?
North.
Oh, y'all way up by the big gravel up there.
Wait.
Yeah.
I got no issue. I know that we,
And it's big lots, you know, it's not small lots, you know, I think there's enough room on the
now that
lot.
she's showing, I mean, I see where.
Put a pad and drain it properly, you know,
So has this got a Holden address?
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Hold them in, yeah.
Well, I'm just telling you, when you start typing stuff into Google, it usually tells you, you ain't got a clue where this is.
Listen, I grew up there, so I know that it ain't
It
got
says,
nothing.
did you mean?
It says, what is it?
Google
We're
says,
not
did you
raising his-
mean?
mean?
You're not raising his stock by saying that, Scoot.
Well, I'm just telling you, that's country up there, son, and I miss it. I live in the city now.
So it is in a subdivision named
It's a
subdivision, correct?
subdivision of property out in the woods. That's what we were talking about, same thing that we did for.
Well,
Jeff.
actually, this is,
It's a subdivision that was designed and developed without improvement.
But all the lots are different sizes anyway.
Everywhere, all
Yeah.
through that subdivision, they're very, very,
Some of them long and
very
skinny.
rural, very, undeveloped.
This is the ones where I don't mind doing this. That's not the intent of the rule. Even though it would possibly be the first one. I don't know why it would be the first one. I guess people buy them and they just sit on them. But one day, we're gonna get tired of being wherever we are and we're moving up there. You know? I live 3 miles north of
well,
Holden.
you gonna make a motion, Scooter?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Okay, got a motion to accept the waiver, is there a second? Okay, there's no second.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Whose district was that in?
Mine. But I can't make motions. It's all good.
That's true.
All right, so agenda item number 30. Waiver request of waiver request of section 125-27 driveway culverts and/or subsurface drainage to allow subsurface drainage in a subdivision. Okay, yeah. All right. The first one is in, Mr. Gary Towers' district. This is, Mr. Bernard.
Mr. Bernard, south of Fazio, is requested, and I'm gonna be honest with you, normally I don't do this, but given the fact that they sized on that 24-inch culvert, which is substantially larger than the culverts that exist under his driveway, I'm gonna recommend that we allow that to happen.
Well, I'll second that, because I know if Gary's, if Gary is
You
making
pretty
a
safe.
motion, he feels about subsurface drainage about like I do subdividing in a subdivision, which is, you don't do it. So, I will second that. I know it's good to go if Gary says it is.
Motion by Gary Towers, second by Tracy Gerlinghouse. Any discussion from the audience on this particular agenda item? All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody that opposes? All right.
Gary, is there existing subsurface drainage in there?
Within the subdivision
Yeah.
areas in different places, and to be honest with you, you can't put a bigger culvert in that ditch than 24 inches. I mean, I'm telling you, they
Yeah.
he ain't gonna have a lot of dirt on top of the culvert in that particular situation. They doing all they can do within there. So I got no issue with that.
All right, so it was sized correctly, that's good. All right, so 30B, this is Dustin Harrell. This is 9508 West Blunt Road. This is in Mr. Scooter King's district.
Yeah, these properties, back up to my lane, and there's no drainage issues in there. I went and looked at it, and he's improving the whole drainage of West Blunt Road by doing these on the whole, cause it's the creek end that he's actually subsurfacing. That the creek is the border of my property, and by doing this, they're all caved in. They have subsurface there now, and some of them, you're gonna take it out, replace it all with new stuff, cause it's been in there 25 years.
Okay.
So I make a recommendation.
So what you need to
Since
wait
you're on the orders committee,
Yeah.
and you bringing this up, I'm just saying,
We need to find a better way.
yes,
Okay?
then a waiver.
Well, then give us the better way, Mr. Bubba, because we talked.
Replacement of the covers, like in his case. You don't need a waiver to go in
Well,
and
some of
replace
it,
it.
but some of it is new subsurface, but he's replacing some also that was there. And some driveways, he's gonna re-pour concrete driveways after the new pipes are in place, and they're collapsed, so it improves the drain. But Mr. Bubba had mentioned it to me, Tracy, that if we made it a better way to do it than it having to have a waiver.
Well,
And I explained to him that before, it was that the parish president could just go, yeah, give him a waiver. So we took that away, is what we did, right?
Well, ideally, if we had a really good budget, then we could just always make a submittal to an engineer, and the engineer can make a recommendation.
Yeah.
But we don't have an engineer on the payroll, we gotta pay the engineer every time we get something from them,
Well,
so.
and
That's cost, I mean, that's not, ultimately, that's the ideal thing to do. Every time you put a culvert in, an engineer says grace over it.
But I need people need to understand that it looks like we give a lot of waivers when before we didn't come to us. Do you trust that if you go look at it and take all things into account, or do you just say, hey, it's gonna be handled on the other end?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm good either way,
I'll say
but
this
I'm gonna look at the stuff myself.
Me too.
I'll say this much, anytime there's somebody needing a cover put in, or drainage, whatever, Sam usually handles that, he sends somebody out, they shoot the elevations, give the cover size that needs to be in there. So,
And Bubba, I don't disagree with what you're saying, however, I love Junior to death. What Junior does, like in my district, is he'll go out and shoot driveway A and driveway B and make sure that there's room in between it, that there's fault, and that it'll work. And then he'll evaluate how many catch basins. What he doesn't do, because he can't determine the impact on the holding capacity or the restriction of water flow that putting that subsurface in. And I think, given certain situations, that's why this ordinance came about, is that we were creating restrictions in subdivisions that weren't designed for it. And so I think sometimes it's good. I know we get waivers, but look, if you tell me that there's not a drainage problem on your street, I'm good with that, because you know your district.
You see it.
Just like if I get a call on a particular address, I got a call on my neighbor 3 houses down, wanted to put culverts. I'm like, there's no way, that is the last ditch on that street before we get to the creek. We're not restricting the water flow anymore, you know what I'm saying? So, she's not happy with me, but I mean, that's why the thing exists, because you know if you have problems in that area, and you can go kind of make an evaluation based on if DPW says it'll work, do you think it's gonna impact the flow of water, or are you good with it? So that's why it exists, and I don't really wanna change it.
Bubba, there is one place where we can
Y'all wanna
fix
talk
our
about
ordinance.
this in the ordinance committee meeting?
No, just one second. Let's say you got two houses right here and the one in the middle wants to do subsurface and this is already existing. Well, it makes no difference to go out there and say, well, you need a 24 if you tie it into a 15 on both ends. So that one would, is that correct? I mean, think about it, Chad, if they got two 15s on each side, even though if somebody looked at it and said you needed a 24, you can't tie it into a 15.
Yeah, you can.
I mean, you can, it ain't gonna flow any better.
Well, yeah, it will.
Okay.
The only person I know
But let's look at it.
that goes out and does things like that,
If
it
he
might
comes
be
up with an idea.
Clinton. I think Clinton does a fantastic job.
Well, that's because he's from Albany, Louisiana, that's why.
Well, Mr. Sam, I need to get with you and talk about that.
Alright, so let's put it,
Okay.
we finish and do we vote?
All right, so,
You voted on Dustin?
we voted on that?
No,
Did we have a motion in a second?
no.
Okay.
Motion by, Scooter King.
I'll second.
Second by
Jared.
Gerald
I got a whole
McNorris.
bunch of them.
All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? All right. Okay, this is gonna be the committee reports, agenda item number 31. Ordinance committee recommendation for ordinance introductions. We got two. Tracy, did you wanna take this, or you want me to
Sure.
read it off?
You got I don't know what that is, one, amend chapter 125, article 1, in general, section 125-30, drainage districts. This is, where we remove some verbiage and added a little, I think, under section A, if you can read it. It says within funded, recognized, drainage district, we just scratched recognized. And then on the back end, it originally had stated, however, the review engineer will make the final recommendations to the planning director. And we got rid of that. And then under item 125-30-B, it says all costs incurred by the drainage district in the course of the review of any construction development shall be borne by the, and it says drainage district. And now we're saying the cost we handle by ODS.
Operator design.
Yeah, and then we added a C, which says all fees shall be paid prior to release of approved documents, and proof of payment shall be received before final approval of the planning department. So basically, if the drainage district has to go out there and have their engineer look at it, then they're gonna want to be paid for it. So, before final approval. And then item 2.
Wait, we don't wanna vote on that real quick?
This is just reports. We're not really.
Recommendation of ordinance.
So we're not introducing it tonight?
Can we introduce them together?
Well,
Right.
did you
So I
have it
think
on the
a motion
agenda
to
as an
introduce that.
introduction?
Okay. I think we are.
Yeah.
No,
Okay, so,
It's on there.
there's a motion on the floor to introduce this ordinance.
Yeah.
Sandy, you got it, read it? Go ahead.
This will be proposed ordinance 20-23. This is an ordinance to amend chapter 125 of the code of ordinances of Livingston Parish subdivision regulation, article 1 in general, section 125-30 drainage district as follows. The public hearing will be at 6 p.m. on August 27th.
Tracy made the motion, I second.
Those come from us.
Tracy made the motion, Gary seconded it. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nope. Excellent. Agenda item number 31A2.
All right, so this is, under the, ordinance to amend chapter 22, basically the noise ordinance, 22-22. And in section 22-22, item A, essentially, it says planning or operating and permitting, I'm gonna give you the bulk of it. Permitting the playing of use of operation of radio, musical instrument, phonograph, or other machine or device for the producing or reproducing of sound can be heard from a distance of 50 feet or more, where the source of such sound is located on public or private property is prohibited. We elected to strike or private. Essentially, as Mr. Talbot explained earlier, if you got a big piece of property, you want to do the sound, check the sound level from the property line, not from the, like you said, for your generators running off the back of your house, it's not 50 feet from your generator, it should be 50 feet from your property line or a public place. Or if you're at North Park, then it's from the point.
Better not be playing that music loud.
After, following the ordinance as it is in place for times and days, what that time of night, in the evening or in the morning. So we were requesting to strike or private from A and B, which is if said source is located upon any public, it says or private property, it can be heard inside a structure or a motor vehicle other than the source said noise, and if the receiving motor vehicle or structure, all doors and windows are closed, such source is prohibited. For striking or private from that.
Basically what it amounts to is that the way the ordinance, there is an ordinance for private property on how, there is a section of the ordinance that tells how you measure sound on private property. Then there was this specific section, prohibition, that contradicted the measurement of private property. Basically, it says 50 foot from the source. Well, that's for public. You need to be able to measure 50 foot from the source on public, but not private. Private property, you should be able to measure at your property line. If you're not crossing your property line with that noise, then you should be good. And there was one person that chose to take this particular article here, this part of it, and apply it to private property. So we're striking private to get it so there's no conflict.
Yes.
So I'll
Essentially, you don't want to come in way up onto your property and then measuring 50 feet from whatever it is that's producing the noise. You might have 10 acres. They can come over there and say, well, 50 feet from that, you're exceeding a decibel rating.
Yeah.
You're in violation. So there was a conflict. We're just getting rid of it.
That sound good to you, Mr. Pruitt?
Great job.
Yeah, I think that helps.
I'll make a motion.
Should
I'll
question
second.
So we
some of it.
got a motion, Sandy's gonna read it, after, we got a second by Tracy, motion by Gary, let's keep going.
This is, gonna be proposed ordinance 20-24. It's an ordinance to amend chapter 22 environment, article 2 noise, section 22-22 specific prohibitions, part A and B of the code of ordinances in the parish of Livingston, to amend the specific prohibitions to exclude private property. The public hearing will be at 6 p.m. on August 27th.
All right,
So it was Mr. Talbert.
Talbert and then Tracy. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. This is gonna be
About my bedtime, we hurry up.
the finance committee. Is there any finance committee report?
Words of our attorney, nothing to report.
Nothing to report. All right. Okay, agenda item number 31C, this is a creation of animal control committee. Mr. Randy Delat asked me to put this on here to discuss and decide if this council wants to do with a, animal control committee. And him not being here, I think it would be best that we defer this to a later date or table it.
Well, I got a comment, but I'm gonna wait. We'll just wait. If we bring it up again, I'll make a comment then.
You gonna add mosquito to animals?
You just finished saying it was your bedtime.
I know, that's why I said, that's why I was trying to wait.
You are a bit long-winded sometimes.
Okay, so, we're gonna move on to agenda item number 32, this is the district attorney's report.
Well, ordinarily, I don't have a report this late an hour, but I just want to mention that I'm glad to be back. I missed a couple of meetings and I had eye surgery, but I'm doing much better.
Awesome.
There were some ladies in the audience, though, that asked me to keep sending my younger, better-looking partner to cover your meetings, and so you're stuck again with me. I do also want to say district attorney has obviously been reelected because he had no opposition, and he appreciates the support of this council and the good relationship he has with each and every one of you and the parish president. And so.
Tell him he can come see us every once in a while.
Yeah, he could. I'll be happy to send him in my place any given night. So anyway, thank you again.
Yes, sir.
Take a long one if you send.
I was about to say, let's get
No,
one.
when we don't have a long one.
Bunch of attorney questions. Okay, so, councilman comments. We're on councilman comments now. I had a couple of comments, and I'm sure that some of y'all can help me with this. Okay, one was, Mr. Buddy Mincy was, had communicated that there is some grant assistance if there's, for crawfish farmers in Livingston Parish, or, any other parish, but, there's some grant funding out there for crawfish farmers, and, it's due to COVID pandemic, through the CARES Act, and we just wanna make sure that, if there's any crawfish farmers in Livingston Parish, they have the opportunity to go fill out an application. They could come to our office and grab an application, or, we can email it, any way, shape, or form. If you wanna contact your councilman, or contact the council chambers, or any way, shape, or form, try to get you that assistance if possible. And then the other thing, I hope I'm not stealing anybody else's thunder, but, there's an election coming up. And it's not a huge election. It's Saturday, right?
It's huge in my district.
And, well, I meant like, like, when I say huge, I don't mean that it ain't a very important thing. I meant like, it's not like the president of the United States is running for
Can
office
I
next
move
Saturday.
on this just a little?
Yeah, you go.
All right, Fire District 5 is putting a user fee on the ballot Saturday. It's very important.
They're the only ones.
They're the only thing on there.
Yeah, but they're the only ones that don't have a user's fee.
Well, they've been requesting it. They've been sending out letters for years for $32 user fee.
Yeah.
This is gonna be set for, I think it's 10 years. Is that right? And it's important. Don't even mention, not voting for this on Facebook. You will get killed. Cause there was 2 or 3 people that said, this is ridiculous. They got 8 up, son.
To the house catches on fire.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. I get it. Not just that. They send their first responders and everything.
Well, that's what I'm
I mean,
saying.
them guys are there.
Until they need them,
A
right?
lot of time it takes a little while for that ambulance to get up to Watson.
Oh, yeah.
You put abatement back on that?
No, sir. Didn't do it.
What?
Not yet.
Dude, I can't even,
I got a comment.
I can't even scale ski.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I would like to welcome Mr. King and his wife, Miss Kay, to the wonderful world of grandparents.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Got a little
So
boy.
we got, how many grandpas up here?
Oh, we got the whole
Wow. I'm the only one that ain't.
George Frederick Byers. He
I'm
let
not a
me go
grandpa.
yesterday.
I'm not a grandpa.
Hey, I got one thing I want to say.
Go ahead, Mr. Bubba.
Concerning Live Oak Acres, they talk about this and that, everything else. I was practically born and raised in Live Oak Acres. The back part has never been part of the subdivision act. The front part where they talking about these lots, yeah. When C.E. Smith developed that, whenever it was developed, it was not supposed to be any trailers in the front part at all. So I just wanted to pass
Get
that
it
along.
changed. I remember right.
All right, so, is there a motion to adjourn?
Nope.
No? Go ahead, Mr. Gerald.
So last comment I'm gonna make is to my wife. We're gonna make 30 years on Tuesday. So happy anniversary on Tuesday. But she's in Colorado.
That's smart.
So we put her on a plane. She's in Colorado, and I'll be in Grand Isle for her.
That's the way to celebrate that anniversary, yeah.
Hey, I'm going with you.
Everybody's happy.
That's
Hey, you know why
awesome.
you made the last forever?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Jeff Forrest, second by Chris House. All in favor? Aye.
All right, I'm gonna get with you.